Hi friends, welcome back to my channel. I'm Xoxo, this is Xoxo Tarot, and in today's pick a blood cell reading, or is it all blood cell or is it all parts of the blood? I don't know. Cute little fuzzy guys that represent things in your blood. We are going to be looking at a mystery message that is meant to find you. So how this reading is going to work is I have this really cool book called 1001 Tarot Spreads. I don't use spreads very often, so I thought it would be a great opportunity to see that in action. It was written by Cassandra Eason, who really popped up with this. There are a lot of hyper-specific spreads in this book, but I went through and I picked a lot of more general spreads that I thought would work, and I wrote down their numbers. So I am going to draw a number for each group, and I'm going to do that here in the intro so that if you have trouble choosing between all these cute little guys, you have a number as well. And then based on that number, we are going to get a message slash affirmation based on your group's number using the 1111 Oracle by Alana Fairchild. You've probably seen me use this before if you've been here before. If not, yeah, I use it. And then after that, we are going to look at the tarot spread in the book that correlates with the number you got, and we will see what that spread is, and I will pick a unique tarot deck and a unique guidance deck, oracle deck, to use after we do the spread. So I'm really excited. I think it's going to be fun. I've never done a mystery message before, and I hope that the mystery message meant for you works. So we have 4 different cute little guys for you to choose from. I'm going to start with group number 1, drawing group number 1's number. So what number is meant for group number 1, please? Okay, I feel 1. Oh, okay. Well, I'm picking this one. So unfortunately, for those of you that want me to pick that one, we're not. Okay. So for group number 1, we have 437. That is going to be group number 1's number. And group number 1 is the plasma. Okay, group number 2, the white blood cell. What number is meant for group number 2, the white blood cell, please? For group number 2, the white blood cell, the number we have is 259. Then for group number 3, the red blood cell. Let's see what number is correlating with group number 3. The red blood cell, please. For group number 3, we have 152. And finally, for group number 4, group number 4's number, the platelet. What is the platelet's number? For group number 4, we have 176. So if you guys want to look up your numbers online, see if there's any angel number messages, feel free to pick those out. If you are drawn to more than one reading, it is absolutely okay. If you find that maybe the affirmation message is meant for you in one group, but the spread topic that we're looking at isn't for you, feel free to pick another group. All that is important here is that you get information that is useful to you, that brings you guidance. So all of the cells, cute little guys, and their numbers will be listed down below. Once you have picked your group or groups, I will see you in your reading. But intro squad, we're doing our Make-A-Wish now. My brain short-circuited there. And we are using another mini candle today. We are using the Magician candle, which is all about things like manifestation, creation, and also success. So if you've been wanting energies like that in your life, you may want to check out the Magician candle, code ACE10 for 10% off. But as with my regular size candles, there is a mini tarot card that comes in with every single reading. And intro squad, I want to know, what is your favorite function or aspect of the body? if you have any fun facts, feel free to share them. My fun fact about the body is that our brains are plastic until the very last days of our lives. So that is something that really brings me hope, because that means that our brains are always changing until the very last days of our existence. So whenever you feel like you're too far gone, or whenever you feel like there's no hope or that you can't change, just know that you can change, and the brain has evidence of it. And actually, the book that I learned this in is a book called The Bullied Brain. And it talks about how you can heal from things like bullying and things like that. And it talks about that in there. So if you want to check that out, that's there. But let's go ahead and see what your mini tarot card is. Ooh, okay. So we have the Four of Pentacles. I am going to read that in a second, but if you would just like to, first of all, admire how beautiful this candle is and focus on what you are creating, what you are focusing on right now, feel free to do so. If you'd like to pause the video and just put your intentions in, feel free to do that as well. But I'm going to go ahead and make my wish now. May yours, mine, and all of our wishes come true. Okay, couple of different messages I'm getting here with the Four of Pentacles. Number one, if you've been trying to get to a place of financial stability, I think that this is a sign that you are getting there. However, I do think that this is an encouragement to be a little fiscally conservative in the next few months. It might just create less stress on you, and it might also just help you feel like you're more in control and more secure. But also, I see this as a message for some of you that you may be holding back, that maybe in an effort to conserve or keep what you already have, it's creating a level of exhaustion or making it hard for you to branch out in new ways or try new things. If you're holding back on sharing something that you feel really called to out of fear or insecurity, I do feel that this is a sign that this could be holding you back in some sort of way. Maybe it's that you're trying to protect yourself, or you're afraid that if you take a risk or make a change that you could lose what you've already built. But I feel like there's a happy medium here. You know, 4 is a number of stability. And I do think what this card is really saying is that you can take risks without losing all your stability. But if what you're doing is keeping you stuck and making you feel like you're being held back and you have the desire to move forward, you may want to weigh the risks of, what would it look like if I branched out? How can I branch out or take risks in a way that still ensures my stability and accounts for or makes up for any loss I might experience in this process? Sometimes when we are making changes in life, we do have to accept a little bit of loss, but sometimes that loss leads to a lot more gain in the future. But I think for all of you, it's about finding grounded, practical solutions that account for certain outcomes. Like, for example, you know, maybe if you are making a change, maybe if you're wanting to do something like take a financial risk, for example, like an investment, it's like, okay, well, maybe don't invest everything, maybe invest some of your money and make sure that you have enough for, you know, a couple months and like your well-being. Obviously I am not a financial advisor and I'm not good. You know, obviously do what is going to ensure your security, safety, and stability. But don't be so attached to that it feels like you can never move forward, especially if you're feeling called to be open a little bit, you know? As long as you've got enough and you're not worrying, or as long as you've got enough that even if you are worrying, you have practical evidence to show that you can, you know, do a little bit more with maybe a certain aspect of your money, like view a little bit of it, like maybe just finding a balance between exploration, expansion, growth, and risk and stability. I feel like that'll be really helpful. But for others, this might be a message about holding back or holding on to certain things you want to say, certain things you want to share, people that you want to interact with. And I feel like this isn't telling you to do one thing or the other. I feel like it's about asking you, why are you holding back? Is it out of fear, or is it because you know there's something you're trying to protect, a truth you're trying to protect, a person you're trying to protect, or Is it because, you know, you're afraid of the outcome or afraid of change? I'm not really getting like a hardcore message about what you should do. I think that there are just themes of stability, practicality, and also risk taking, whether it is in a financial aspect, whether it is in, you know, a relational aspect, whatever it may be. I feel like you're being encouraged to ask what makes you feel stable, what is practical, what is impractical, especially if holding on to something is impractical. Like if you're holding back a truth that maybe you feel really called to share but are afraid to because of the fallout that may occur. You know, where are your values in that aspect? What keeps you grounded? Because, you know, the Four of Pentacles can have aspects of holding back or stinginess, but it can also have aspects of stability and security and support. So I would really ask yourself, where are you at in terms of those themes? And where do you feel like you could be more balanced? Or where do you feel like maybe you're overcompensating from a place of fear, from a place of uncertainty, when maybe you could come up with solid plans that would give you more certainty? Things like that. Don't know if that's going to resonate for everyone, but hopefully it does for those of you it's meant for. And feel free to let me know how that message resonates for you, and otherwise your cool favorite fun facts about the body. Okay, so with that being said, go ahead and pause the video if you need to decide which pile you feel most drawn to. Like I said, it's okay to be drawn to more than one. If you are new here, I just hope you know that there is really, you don't need to think too hard about things. It's really just all about finding messages that resonate for you. If they bring you into a sense of peacefulness, a sense of clarity, a sense of motivation or empowerment, those messages are definitely for you. If you get more confused or uncertain or fearful or stressed, those messages are not for you. It does take a little bit of personal accountability, connection, and responsibility to know what messages are for you or not, as this is a general reading. But don't let the number of people interacting with this video mean that it's not meant for you. Actually, the number is a lot smaller when you think about, you know, there's 8 billion people on this planet. This is a very small, select group when you really think about it. But everybody here has one thing in common, and that is that you have good taste, and that I am very blessed to be connected with you. So thank you for being here. Thank you for letting me read for you. And once you have picked your number, your blood cell, I will see you in your reading. Hi there, pile one. Welcome to your reading, and thank you so much for being here. If you guys chose the plasma says hi, and the number 437 that I drew in the intro, this is going to be your reading on your mystery message. So we are going to start with the 1111 Oracle and look at what number 437, what message that has for you. So for that is, my guardian angel helps me bring healing into communities that are in need according to a higher spiritual plan. And based on what your reading is going to be about, I do feel like these communities are deeply connected to you and important to you. And also, I think this guardian angel brought this message to you. And for some of you, I feel like this guardian angel is a passed on loved one, or maybe even an angel that you don't know but you feel connected to. Guardian angels are definitely significant for you. So if you felt drawn to them or been even pondering them, maybe you don't believe in them, maybe this is a sign to maybe open your mind and believe a little bit more. So let's go ahead and talk about what your mystery message is going to be about using the 1001 tarot spreads. And if this message is completely unrelated to your life and wouldn't make any sense, please pick a different group. There's nothing wrong with picking a different group, but maybe you just needed the little affirmation message. But for you guys, we're going to be looking at if a friend criticizes you or puts you down. It doesn't necessarily have to be in public, but that is what it says here. So we're going to talk about the spread and what we're doing. So I picked for you guys a totally unofficial Adventure Time tarot deck, and it asks that you take out the minor arcana and instead just use the 22 major cards and the major arcana and 16 court cards. So I have that set up already. And what this spread is going to talk about is essentially what to do in this situation. I guess we don't need to go over it because I'll kind of go over it as I'm shuffling and as we're getting into it. So yeah, and then your final guidance will be with guardian angel messages. So thank you for being here. Thank you for letting me read for you. And if you end up enjoying this message or just, you know, like it, thank you for taking the time to leave me a like, to let the ads play in the background, to comment, to subscribe, all of that. It's really helpful, and I'm grateful to all of you for being here and for letting me read for you. And I just want to start by saying I'm so sorry that you're experiencing that. I have had experiences of people who I thought were friends criticizing me or outright lying about me, and it hurts and it sucks. And I'm so sorry that you're having that experience. You might even be a little bit creeped out because you're like, wow, I could have never imagined having a reading about this, but I couldn't have imagined it either. That's why the universe, the loving universe provides. So we're gonna ask, I'm gonna shuffle and ask each question. So starting with the first question, is it only when you go out socially that your friend makes fun of you, or does this occur when you are alone as well? So I'm gonna reshape this to ask, does this friend only criticize you or put you down around others, or is it alone as well? So Spirit, does this friend of group number one's criticize or put down group number one only in front of others, or is it alone as well? Okay, next question. Is this friend naturally sarcastic at the expense of others, or are you the sole target? So is this friend naturally sarcastic, or are they critical of others as well? Truth be told, I don't even know if this reading is going to work or make sense. This is all experimental, so thank you for rolling with me on it. Next question. Should you get tough explaining that you will not put up with this? So should pile number one stand up for themselves? That's how we'll say it. And then for card 4, we have, should you reply in a similar way in public so people laugh with you? I'm just going to change that to, what's the most aligned response? Or should you match their energy? So should pile 1 match this person's energy? Or what would be the most aligned way for them to respond? And I'm laying it out like this because that's how the spread has it, but I might have to change it as we go because they might get cut off. Okay, card number 5. Are you / why are you afraid of losing this friendship, which makes you feel bad? So is pile 1 afraid of losing this friendship, or why is pile 1 afraid of losing this friendship? Yeah, I'm definitely gonna have to lift these up because these are out of the frame of the camera. So we just know 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, card number 6. Should you go out, or should you hang out without your friend with people who make you feel good? So should pile 1 consider doing things and going out without this friend, being with people who make them feel good? And finally, we're asking, should you find a new friend who is more loyal? And I'm going to add, if so, how? So should pile 1 find a new friend who is more loyal? And if so, how? Okay, let's see what's on the bottom of the deck. Okay, no matter what in the situation, the fact that we have the star on the bottom of the deck tells me that there is hope. And I also kind of have the feeling that if this friend is criticizing you or hurting you, it is because they have some sort of jealousy issues, or they maybe feel like you shine more brightly than they do, which, I mean, tale as old as time. And you might be like, yeah, like, you know how like when someone is treating you like shit and you tell like people that you care about, they're like, they're just jealous. But I really do think there is some jealousy involved here. So let's go ahead and get into this reading now. So let's start with the first card, and that is do they only make fun of you when you're around others, or does this happen when you're alone as well? And we have the Magician. So this is telling me that I think that they kind of do this whenever they feel like it. It seems like they do it when they're alone as well, considering the Magician is number 1. But I think they specifically do it when and if they are feeling disempowered by your presence. One of the aspects of the Magician is empowerment. And I think they probably do this when they are with you around others and when they are alone. If this is an online friend or someone that you don't really, if you guys have mutual friends, you've probably heard mutual friends say, hey, this person said some things about you. They might even, ooh, dirt. It says that there's dirt on this card. So I would be willing to bet that if you've told this person anything, you trusted them with anything, I would be willing to bet they told other people about it, either publicly or behind your back. And I would also be willing to bet that they have, and if you don't have evidence of that, I would be willing to bet that they have told you about mutual friends' dirt. It seems like this is someone who is quite talkative. They could be a Gemini or a Virgo because the Magician is connected to Mercury, and Mercury rules those signs. So they don't have to be. Don't take that as like as full confirmation, but they could have those energies. And I will say Gemini energy especially, well, actually Virgo energy as well, because Virgo is very critical, and Gemini just be talking. You know, they call Geminis, and listen, this is nothing against Geminis, like, but you guys know you have a reputation for being two-faced. That doesn't mean that you are. It doesn't mean that you are, because I'm sure there are lots of wonderful Geminis here who do not engage in that behavior. And everybody has to have astrology signs, right? But I would definitely say that they probably do this around you. They probably do it in front of you, and they probably do it behind your back. I would be willing to bet that they do it especially when you are being complimented, or when you are being, when they feel disempowered by your light. And I would be willing to bet too, a lot of times when it's around other people, it's hard to pick up on, or not that it's hard to pick up on, but it's hard to trust that you're accurately picking up on what you sense. So like, for example, they might give you backhanded compliments that could be taken either way. And so, you know, you might say to someone like, do you think, you know, the comment that this friend said was more of an attack? And they might be like, oh no, like that's just how they are. Like, I don't think they meant anything by it. I think they're really good at saying things that could be interpreted as insults, but that most people will give them the benefit of the doubt about. I think they're very good at concealing their intentions and communicating in ways that are difficult to discern whether they meant things in a malicious way or not. Oh, perfect. These, they're up a little bit higher than they need to be, but let's keep going and see. Is this friend naturally sarcastic at the expense of others, or are you the sole target? I think we kind of answered that a little bit, but no, yeah, with Justice being here, everybody gets the same treatment, and I would be willing to bet that they are like this with everyone. And now we have 111, so I feel like they are like this one-on-one with people. I feel like the number 111 could be a confirmation or a message for some of you to, like, you know, if you see 111 around them, maybe like trust your gut. But I definitely think that this is somebody who likes to create problems. I don't mean to put them on blast, but I guess I actually do mean to put them on blast. I think that they are always doing what they think is fair. But I think that they're very hypocritical in what they think is fair. So, and I do think that everybody gets this behavior. And people that don't take things too personally, or are less sensitive, they may not even notice or recognize when this person is being snarky or saying something that is kind of putting them down, or could be interpreted negatively. They kind of always give this person the benefit of the doubt. And one thing that I'm sensing when it comes to you is, you may be more sensitive, or you may just be more intuitive. So you might pick up on, you know, oh, this person, like, this is just how they are. They just joke around. They're just like this. But then you kind of have this recognition of, well, no, it feels like there's some sort of energy behind this that doesn't feel good, or, you know, this kind of hurts my feelings, or I feel kind of dread around this person. And I'd be willing to bet you feel a sense of injustice around them, because they tend to get away with a lot, and people don't really see it for maybe how you're seeing it. But I think in general, in their mind, what they're doing is only fair. And the reason why they think it's fair is because there are clearly some levels of insecurity within them. And so if you've ever heard of the term leveling, people that put you down are trying to bring you to their level. And oftentimes I feel like this person is actually really good at making other people look dumb, or like creating problems where they then look like the victim. Like, it's making me think of the movie, the like early 2000s Freaky Friday movie where, you know, with Lindsay Lohan, Jamie Lee Curtis, the Queens. I watched that recently. It's so funny. Such a funny movie. And, you know, one of the things that Lindsay Lohan's character deals with is her little brother instigates issues. And then when she reacts to them, you know, their mom yells at Lindsay Lohan and not the little brother. And so I definitely kind of, that was the visual that I was getting. And so I think there are times where this person instigates things with you and you might be a bit more reactive, or it might be a bit more sensitive, or you might have a really strong reaction behind closed doors, maybe to a mutual friend or someone that knows the both of you. And people might think like you're the problem, or that like they might not understand why you're reacting that way because they didn't see what instigated it. And I hate that sensation and just that experience, because like I feel like, you know, people that are reactive get punished for it, which like obviously if you're a sensitive person, you probably are going to be more reactive. I think we can all find more wisdom in how we react to things, but I think in general they do a very good job of not looking like they're doing anything unjustly. Libra energy is indicated here as well. So they could be very good at navigating social circles in deceptive ways that maybe intuitive people pick up, but those that are not intuitive don't. And so I would be willing to bet that they find their behavior to be fair. I think everybody gets it, but not everybody recognizes that there may be something deeper behind it, a sense of injustice in their own lives, a sense of feeling like they're bringing people down to their level, or a sense of feeling like, oh, I do this to everyone, why are you upset? Why should that be a big deal? So they definitely do this to everyone around them, but I do think there is a greater sense of like they feel like it's fair for them to do that. But on top of it, like I think they like using that as a way to pinpoint who is more sensitive, and they might actually spend more time deceptively trying to like poke and prod those people. So you might find that that is your experience, and other people who maybe don't take it as seriously, or just let it brush off, or don't sense any malice or like unkindness in it, just think like, oh, that's not a big deal, that's just how they are. And I think it brings them a sense of power, it makes them feel strong, but at the same time I feel like it can be really hurtful, and it can leave you and other people that maybe are more sensitive with a sense of injustice. So I do want to validate that, like it's not fair, and I think on the outside it looks very like by the book, and like, oh, that's just like playful razzing, or oh, like they're just joking around. But like this Justice card is really dirty. Like this Finn card is really dirty, and I think that there is some deceptive dirtiness, which, I mean, I guess that word dirt is there a lot. I think that there's more underneath the surface that you sense, and you sense accurately. And I would say if you don't feel safe around this person, or you kind of dread being around them, I don't blame you. I think that there are more nefarious or like malicious reasons why they do the things that they do. I think that they're just very good at creating this sense of benefit of the doubt, and making people believe that, like convincing people that are less intuitive or less sensitive, like that oh, you know, I'm just joking, I'm just kidding. They're seeing what's on the surface, not what's underneath it. So should you get tough explaining that you will not put up with this? So I guess this is asking, like, you know, should you give it back to them? Should you or should you stand up to them? And for that we have Temperance. So I feel like you are probably somebody who is less drawn to, in general, experiences that cause you to be confrontational. I don't think that you should just give it back to them. Well, let me put it this way. If you're capable of giving it back to them in the way that they do it, I would say that you could get away with it in the same way, and they would get a taste of their own medicine. So for example, you know, if they playfully razz you in a sensitive subject and you go back with, oh yeah, well, your mom is stupid, like, then people are gonna be like, whoa, like, pile one, like, what's your deal? Like, that's so aggressive. Like they were just kidding. Like, it could backfire on you. But if you are able to pick up on the nuances of how they do it and also know them well enough to know things that they're sensitive about, but keep it surface level enough to where the people around them are not going to know, not going to pick up on the greater nuances there. If you have the ability to throw it back at them in a way where it passes the radar of the surface level people, but you know they're gonna sense it on a deeper level, like what you mean and what's behind it, I think that you could very well give them a taste of their own medicine. And it would be really interesting for them to have a taste of their own medicine, because they might do the same thing that you do and take people aside and be like, you know, what did pile one mean by that? Like, and they're gonna be like, oh, pile one was just joking. Like, you joke with people all the time. Like, what's the big deal? But also there is messages of Archangel Michael here. I do think Archangel Michael is protecting you in this situation. And I do think that if you don't feel called to, or if it's outside of your value system to behave in those ways, I would say don't do it. Especially if you're unable to give it back to them in the ways that they do it, you know, if it's going to be more intense or if it's going to seem more reactive, I do think it could backfire on you. Like, there is a level of nuance and control that they have when it comes to how they do these things, how they, you know, jab people, how they playfully razz people. And so that allows them to kind of fly under the radar. And so if you're not, you might actually want to study them for a while, get to know them better, kind of, because clearly you are intuitive enough to recognize what is sensitive or like the underlying energies on things. Lay low, pay attention, and be patient, because you might find some things that are sensitive to them. And I also think you could have time to craft up good responses, especially if there are certain things that they say to you often. So, or variations of the same thing and you will know what these are, because once they are able to get a reaction out of you, or they sense that you are bothered by certain things that they say to you, they're going to say those more often. So pay attention to what those things are and take your time to craft comebacks, to craft things that would fly under the radar of the surface level people, but strong enough to hit them back if you want to. But also, I think that if you know that that's not for you, if you know that that's outside of your value system, I think the best thing that you can do is just be a Teflon queen. Let it roll right off of you and don't even pretend like it bothers you. If it does hurt, don't give them the credit. Wait until you're home to be mad about it. Wait until you're alone. Or take the opportunity when they do say things that really hurt you, that really bother you, alchemize that into healing. Find what parts of you within are still hurt by that and why. And the more you work with that, the more you show those parts love, when they do those things again, you're not going to be affected in the same way. And then you're going to be able, and they're going to know that their reaction, like the reaction they want from you or the effect they want to have on you, isn't landing. And that might make them escalate and become more aggressive, to the point where other people are going to be like, wait a second, why are you treating pile one that way? Pile one didn't do anything to you. To where now that they're no longer getting the reaction or getting the satisfaction of jabbing you silently, they might start to get called out or seen. But also, if you don't know what to do, just pray to Archangel Michael. And if you can't control them being around certain groups, I would just pray for Archangel Michael's protection and for the truth of things to be seen clearly. And I bet, and you might have to be patient, you might have to wait, but I do think the truth will come out. And I think that if you choose to distance yourself from this group and this person in general, you might find that people come back around and are like, you know, you were right about this person. But I do think, like with temperance, there is the acknowledgement of needing to be patient and needing to don't do anything hasty. And in fact, the more you can plan your responses and plan how you deal with things, the better, because not only will you be more in control, but you will be less likely to be susceptible to any of their BS, essentially. Okay, card 4. Should you reply in a similar way, so in public? Okay, well, we kind of answered that, but I guess we kind of changed this to, you know, how should you act instead? How should you behave? So we'll go into that a little bit. Oh, lemon grab. I think that you should, honestly, one of the best things, like if you don't know what to do at all, I think that that's really what this is going to be. I think you should gray rock. I think that you should not really give them much credit. I mean, even Lemon Grab's outfit is very, very gray. I feel like you should just, and if you don't know what gray rocking is, it's essentially like a way of being so boring that people have no choice but to move on. So, you know, if let's say this person is really gossipy, you know, digging for dirt, well, you're concrete. You're literally a gray rock. There's no dirt here. You know, if they ask, oh, what'd you do this weekend? Nothing. Oh, well, that sounds really boring. It was fine. How are things going with so-and-so? They're good. Really? Like, they're not doing blah, blah, blah? No, everything's good. Like, just being as boring as possible and giving them nothing to work with, I think is really helpful. But also, I think in general, you're being guided to behave in ways that help keep you grounded, stay aligned with your values, but also be consistent in how you respond. Because I think that this friend, they respond to instability. They look for weakness, which I don't agree. Like, what they deem as weakness, I deem as authentic humanity being expressed. They like reactions out of people. And the Knight of Pentacles is consistent, it is slow, it is patient, it is grounded. So I really feel like the more boring you are and the less you give them in terms of a reaction, in terms of a response, in terms of behavior, the better. But if you notice there are comebacks or ways that you interact with them that reveal their true motives or destabilize them in a way that gives them back what they're giving to you, if consistently doing those things, I think will bring you the results you're looking for. But it's kind of just a continuation of this third question. Like, definitely be patient. Don't do anything hastily. You know, don't be defensive or reactive. The best thing that you can do is give them no reaction, or honestly ignore them. Like, when they say something that's kind of mean or just out of pocket, you don't even notice it. You're talking to someone else. Like, or you could just even stare at them and say nothing and make it awkward. Or, ooh, you can even do this. What do you mean by that? You know, I think that that's a great, like, response. Like, when someone makes, like, let's say an offensive joke, you can be like, well, but what do you mean by that? Really make them uncomfortable, flip it back on them in ways that are innocent but reveal their true intentions. I think all of you are intelligent enough to do that. But for some of you, it just may go against, like, it may feel bad, it may not feel good. And so if it doesn't feel good to engage in that behavior, I would say just do what feels aligned with your heart without giving them what they want. And that might just be ignoring them or removing yourself outright. So card 5, are you afraid of losing this friendship, which makes you feel bad, or why are you afraid of losing this friendship? I feel like part of the reason why you're afraid of this person is because you've told them secrets that maybe you shouldn't have. Maybe you trusted them with things that you shouldn't have, or you feel like they could be particularly destructive should you take your energy away. Maybe this person practices like certain types of magic or witchcraft that is destructive. Which I like to call that occult bullying. And I don't accept bullies of any kind. And I would say if you're only hanging around them because you're afraid they're going to use information against you or attack you, I don't think that's a good reason to keep them around. But truthfully, there might be answers hidden within you that you need to look at, where you might be like, why do I accept this person around me? And maybe it's because they mirror people in your life that you were obligated to have around, where, you know, maybe you had family members that treated you that way, and, you know, you were told, oh, you're too sensitive, or, oh, you're being over dramatic. And maybe they mirror those experiences. And so maybe it's something where you haven't been able to stand up for yourself or say that you're not going to accept that behavior, or feel like you're entitled to remove yourself from those situations or not accept their behavior, because part of your growth and healing is about recognizing that you don't have to accept individuals like that in your space. You know, maybe you did when you were younger, maybe you did as a child, but also you don't have to be around anyone that doesn't uplift you, doesn't make you feel good, doesn't treat you the way you deserve to be treated. I also think that there's a natural sweetness to you where you want to see the best in people. And I think that that can be a wonderful thing, but I think it can be problematic when you are opening yourself up to harm and betraying yourself because you feel like there's it would be unfair, or you feel like it would be harmful for you to do that. If they are caused harm by you setting boundaries or doing what you need to do, that's their problem. They created these issues in the first place. And if they use any information against you, that's disgusting. And honestly, anyone who truly cares about you and is your friend is either going to be turned off by the fact that they would use information against you, that they would share your secrets with other people. I feel like that itself would expose how crappy, like how much of a crappy friend they are. But also, if you have secrets on them, if you know things about them, I feel like that should be well, I guess in a sense, like that should be the leverage you have, where you're like, well, I know things about them too. Like I know things that I haven't shared, and I could do that. So know that I guess if you want to wait until you have some information on them, that's fine. But, you know, I really think a lot of that circles back to where your value system is and what you are comfortable with doing and not comfortable with doing. But also there might be some opportunities for you to divinate into, like, why do I let this person around me? Like, why am I afraid to let go of them? And I think part of it might be you're just afraid of any retaliation you might experience. But I also wonder if any retaliation you experience, you realize feels a lot better than letting someone like that into your space all the time, making you feel destabilized, making you feel bad about yourself, when realistically you have no reason to feel bad about yourself or guilty. So, yeah, definitely do what feels right for you, and don't let any fears of occult bullying or shit like that get and make you feel like you have to be like placate them or something. The best form of protection against stuff like that is goodwill towards yourself and others. And, you know, obviously if you engage in that back, I that's out of my wheelhouse. I don't really know what to tell you there. I don't really believe in doing stuff like that. If you do, that's your choice, that's your decision. And I think at that point, like, you're gonna have to kind of follow your own guidance system and figure out what's best for you there. But I do think that for most of you, you probably just want to remove yourself anyway. But I think there's a part of you that wants other people to see what you're picking up on intuitively. And I think you need to ask yourself whether that's really your job, and to recognize that the truth usually comes to light whether we want it to or not. And, you know, sometimes lies go halfway around the world before the truth has time to put its shoes on. But know that the ones that are meant to see the truth will, and the ones that don't are probably not the best people to have in your corner anyway. If they can't see the destructive behaviors and words that this person engages in, and recognize how their behavior might be a bit problematic, or how their true intentions might be hidden, like, they might not be the safest person to engage with anyway. So, should you go out without your friend or people who make you feel good? So let's just see what the guidance is here or there, especially if there are other people around you. We have the Knight of Wands. Hell yeah. I think that you should honestly be a leader in terms of doing what excites you and only inviting the people you want to invite. And you don't have to have like any sort of explanations why, but if people are like, oh, like, why didn't you invite this friend? Just say, honestly, they really don't make me feel very good about myself, and I just wanted people here that, you know, I like and that I feel are genuine friends. And honestly, I'm sure it will get back to this person that they weren't invited. And I think that that could be very impactful, because if they do genuinely want to be your friend, which I don't know if they do, I feel like you know that phrase, like, keep your friends close and your enemies closer? Like, if this person sees you as an enemy, it's because, like, you make them feel insecure and they want to feel like they're better than you, and so they want proximity to you so that they can bring you down a notch. They might even have this idea that, like, you're arrogant, or like that you think you're so great, and it's like, oh my gosh, what's that song? I think it's a Key Glock song. I don't know, there's like this lyric that's like, you think you this shit, and I'd be like, yeah, so what? And I feel like that is honestly an energy that you need to own. Like, you are the shit, yeah, so what? And I feel like this person sees that you're the shit, but they don't recognize, like, that, you know, they've got their own internal issues to work through. I definitely think you should do things that excite you and take the lead in making and creating group outings without this person, or without anyone that you know enables this person and makes you feel worse. I definitely feel like you should move on to greener pastures, to and only allow yourself to be in positions where either you're in control of the outing, or you're only going when you feel excited and when you know you'll be safe and when you know you'll be comfortable. And honestly too, like, if you find yourself called to go to an outing where you'll know you're there, like, the fact that this knight has it's almost like they're holding an arrow, like they've protected themselves in some way. Maybe allow yourself to go out with this person when you know you can protect yourself, or you've prepared yourself enough. I think, like, it's justifiable when there's an experience that really excites you or that you really want to have, that, you know, you don't want to miss out on solely because this person is going to be there. I feel like you can take action in ways that empower and support you, but also this might be a great opportunity for you to take the lead and create your own group dynamics. Maybe create your own group chat without them in it and just the people that you want. And you can start that under the guise of, hey guys, like, I thought it'd be really fun if we all went and did this together. And if somebody asks, like, you know, why isn't this person included? Take them off to the side and be like, hey, so here's the real reason why they're not included. Like, I really have felt, or you don't even have to, and just say, I just invited the people that I have fun with. It can be as simple as that. But also, I think there's a reason why talking to this person one-on-one hasn't been introduced. And I think that's because they're very good at gaslighting, or very good at invalidating your experiences and being like, that's not what I meant. This is what I meant. And, like, I feel like they could really make you doubt yourself, or feel like doubt your trust within yourself. So I think that whatever excites you, whatever feels good, whatever makes you feel empowered, and whenever you can take the lead, I think that's what you should do. And maybe only accept invitations, or accept being around them when you know that you feel secure enough in yourself. Like, you've got your comebacks locked and loaded. You know they're gonna work, or you know how you're gonna behave, and you've got a level of protection there, or when there's something you're being invited to that you know you want to be at, and you don't want to miss out on just because that person is there. So last question, should you find a new friend who is more loyal? So I'm just going to ask, is it like, how can you find that friend, or where are they? We have the Tower. Okay, so I think that if you don't cut this person out of your life, the universe will do it for you. I actually don't even really think it matters. You don't really need to look for these people. One of the things about the Tower is that a lot of times it's divine intervention. It's something greater than you. I feel like Spirit is kind of saying, if you don't cut this person out of your life, we will. But making drastic changes in terms of who you're comfortable accepting into your world and not, that will help instigate new people coming into your world anyway. I do think that there is a level of chaos around meeting new people, where the universe might just line up those experiences for you. But also, you might come closer to people that are already in this similar group by having a fallout with this person, or them having a fallout with this person. You might get closer to other people because they recognize this person's destructive nature later on. But ultimately, It seems like if you are wanting new friends or wanting new people, that will happen naturally. But there might be drastic changes that are a little bit jarring, maybe even a little bit upsetting, but actually that lead you to the right people in the perfect time and the perfect way. I wouldn't be scared of this Tower. If anything, I feel like it's the universe kind of, if it's almost like if you don't set those boundaries, we will. And also there might be an instance that the universe might be trying to protect you from, where you might get like really like this person might really upset you. You might get really reactive or defensive, and it creates some sort of, and then maybe you throw it back, and then there's like some blow up experience. And I think it might lead to a lot of awareness within the friend group that there was underlying tensions that other people weren't acknowledging. Actually, I think if you take a step back, you're gonna find out that everybody in the group actually has some sort of extreme fallout. And people come out of the woodworks to be like, hey, you were right. We didn't realize that this person was treating you this way. Or I always thought that when they razzed me in this way, they were just meaning it from a playful way, but they really showed their true colors the other night. Yeah, if you don't even need to do the work to expose this person, because the universe will do it on their own. But if you're also looking for new friends, making drastic changes in your life will help that happen. So exploring new circles, trying new things, traveling to new places, trying new groups. If you're a more insular person who is afraid of new things, like try taking an art class, try doing something different, or try doing something. Also, there's something with storms here. Like if you're interested in a storm chasing, you might find a friend that way, or you might find a friend on a stormy day. Like you're out and about walking and a storm hits, and then you end up in a random bookstore, and then you're like bonding with someone over something like that. I think that the universe will help guide you to those friends naturally. The frustrating thing might be like trying to force those things before it happens, or just wanting it to happen sooner than it is. But I definitely feel like it's all happening in the perfect time, in the perfect way. So I definitely would say, like, if you don't like set boundaries with this friend, or, you know, I mean, I cutting someone out is extreme, right? But like the Tower is kind of extreme. So it's almost like if you don't fix the situation, the universe will. But let's go ahead and finish this reading off with some guardian angel messages for you. That is the deck that wanted to come through. So guardian angels of group number 1, what would you like group number 1 to know? We, your guardian angels, ask you to invite us in your heart. Talk to us at any time. Share with us your fears and concerns, as well as joys and pleasures. There is no need to be formal, for we have known you since before the dawn of time. In fact, we know you better than you know yourself, and we love you just as you are. And that's how friends should treat you as well. Love you just as you are. What else? Compassion. Dearest one, be compassionate towards yourself. Surrender the self-criticism and fear that has you believing you need to improve in order to be worthy. You are perfect just as you are. The only thing that needs to change is your perception. You will come to realize the jewel you are when you love and honor yourself as you are. And so I definitely think that's something as well. If you've been holding on to this situation because you think that maybe this person has some, maybe they have a point, or maybe there's a validity to their treatment of you. No, there is no validity to treating you poorly and putting you down, period. And we have inner child. Nurture your inner child and begin to express the awesome beauty you hold within you. We live in a world where a formula exists for everything, yet love and creativity have no formula. They do not need to be studied, they simply need to be nurtured. Regularly set aside some time and just play. And I feel like that could be a way that you find people or connect with people more deeply. I definitely think the person that we're describing, they have a really wounded inner child, and you know, you may have one as well, but I think the difference is that you probably internalize those wounds and punish yourself, whereas this other person, they externalize those wounds and project them onto other people and punish others for triggering those wounds within them. And so I really feel like you're being encouraged to recognize how a lot of their behavior has very little to do with you, and you deserve peace. Which, speaking of, on the back of the deck, we have calm your thoughts and move your awareness to a peaceful space inside your heart. Feel the ebb and flow of love and the eternal movement in the stars. Your life is forever unfolding into greater spheres of love. Relax and do not worry about anything, for all is well. You will soon enter a time of well-earned peace and tranquility. So I really feel like this is the universe kind of highlighting the fact that like any fears that you have about cutting this person out of your life, like anything that they do towards you will backfire on them times a million. So just know that you don't have to even pay attention. You can just be doing your own thing. And you know, they will receive the consequences of their own actions. And actually, I think the best thing that you can do is stay in alignment with your value system and don't feel like you have to defend yourself, because you really don't. You don't have to defend yourself. Just do what you need to take care of you and be in a more peaceful place, and just affirm that only people that bring you peace, only people that make you feel good about yourself deserve to be in your life and in your circle. So pile 1, that's where I'm going to leave this reading. I don't know who this is going to be for, but I really hope this reading resonated. It brought you the peace that you were looking for, and it brought you the clarity you're looking for. Definitely let me know how it resonates for you. I would love to hear. Maybe a new friend you'll find is in my comment section. So thank you guys for making it such a wonderful space. Thank you guys so much for letting my ads play in the background, because that's one of the simplest and easiest ways to show support and appreciation for my channel. And support me. If you would like to support me in other ways, you can like this video, comment down below, let me know how it resonates. You can subscribe if you haven't already. You can check out my candles, social media, merch, all that stuff like that. But that's all I have for you guys. So thank you so much for watching and for letting me read for you. I really hope it resonated, and I hope you all have a wonderful day or night whenever it is that you're watching this video, and I hope you'll come back and see me again soon. Bye! Hi there, Pile 2. Welcome to your reading, and thank you so much for being here. If you guys chose the white blood cell and the number 259, this is going to be your reading on your mystery message. So to speed things up and to help you know whether this message is for you or not, the spread that we are going to be doing is if you want to go to college or study. And it says later in life. I'm going to refine it to just anyone who wants to go to college and study, whether it is later in life or whether you are just considering it in general. So that's the topic that we are going to be looking at. If that is not relevant to you whatsoever, please pick a different group. But you may want to stick around first and see your affirmation message using the 1111 Oracle. And for that, we have, I invite the universe to mercifully manifest karmic healing in my connections with love. So you can say that to yourself, you can write it down. Your number is 259, and feel free if you want to Google the number 259 and see if there are any messages there for you that you want to share with everyone or that are relevant for you, or if there's a special connection to 259 you want to mention, feel free to share it. And if you enjoy this video, thank you for liking it, letting the ads play, stuff like that. All of that is super helpful to me. And so I say thank you. Okay, so I'm using the age of Aquarius Tarot for you guys. That is the age that we have entered in, right? And the deck I felt called to use. So the first question, this first card is, will study make you happy even if the road ahead will be hard? So for card number 1, will study, going to school, make group number 2 happy even if the road ahead is hard? Okay, so we'll put that there. The next question is, do you need / should you start with a short course part-time study to become familiar with learning again? So I'm just going to condense that into, should you do that to become familiar with the subject, with the topic? So should group number 2 first explore short-term study or a short course to get familiar with what it might be like to go to school or to go back to school? Okay, then we've got that there. I'm definitely going to have to do this spread differently than how it's shown because it's not going to show up the way I want it to, but that's okay. So for question 3, do you still want to study the same courses as when you were younger, or have your preferences changed in light of experience? So I'm going to shift that to, will you want to study what you have an idea of now, or should you go in with a more general perspective? So will pile 2 want to study what their heart is calling them towards to, or should they remain a bit more open-minded? I will say I changed my major 8 times in college, and I went back to what I originally started with. So no shame in that game. And then for card 4, are you studying for pleasure? I'm going to make this question, what are the intentions behind studying? What are the real reasons behind going back to school? So what are pile 2's true intentions about going to school, back to school? What are their true intentions behind study? And finally, if pile 2 follows their dream or follows this decision to go back to school or to go to school, will they succeed? Thank you. Bottom of the deck, we have the King of Wands, which I love to see. So definitely trust where you are led here. The fact that we have the King of Wands here just really tells me that if you are confident in yourself, you can put your mind to anything. But let's go ahead and start by looking at the first card, which is, will study make you happy? Will the outcome of it, will pursuing it make you happy even if it's hard? So we have strength here. And so I would say yes and no. I think that you will be satisfied with yourself. I do think it will be challenging and you will build fortitude. I also think that there will be certain insecurities that are tested if you go to school or go back to school. And that might be, you know, maybe you haven't studied for a while. If you are older than the average college student, you might feel like you're out of place. But what I will say about that is that you should never let that stop you, because I guarantee you there are a lot more people in your classes or that are on campus that are also going back to school or that are older or are nervous and feeling insecure too. And I think what you will realize is that number one, there's strength in numbers, and number two, everybody there is here to learn. And I think what you'll find is that people are a lot more accepting and open and happy to have you around. I think it will make you happy, but there will definitely be times where you're like, why did I choose to do this? Why? Like, it will challenge you, but I think it will be the type of challenge that you find very fulfilling because you know you did it. And I think more than anything, you will recognize that you're happy that you did it, because now not only will you not have to ask yourself what if, you won't have those what ifs, but also you'll know that you can do it. You're like the little engine that could, you know, that's one of my favorite children's books. Like, you know, he's going up the hill and he's like, I think I can. And I think what you're gonna have to do is think you can your way through it. And also know that on the vast majority of college campuses, there are so many resources and people there that want you to succeed and that want the best for you and will do everything in their power to work with you. Especially if you're going to a smaller school. I will say I went to a big state school and then I went to a smaller campus. And that's not to say that the people at the big school weren't great. The ones that I interacted with were great, but there's so many people, there's less individualized attention. At my small school, I really couldn't struggle under the radar because my professors were on top of me, but also, well, okay, that sounds weird. Not in a weird way, but rather they would check in with me. They would, you know, interact with me. They're very approachable, very relaxed, but also there were campus resources. Like, there was one incredible woman named Jenny who just went above and beyond for all of her students. Like, she wasn't a professor. She was, I can't remember what her exact role was, but she basically helped students come up with plans to succeed. You know, wherever they were struggling, she would help facilitate communication. She would go so far to support not just me, but all of her students that came to her and needed it. So know that you might be afraid of certain things happening, and that might lead you to resources or people that you're already really paying for in your tuition anyway that will support you through this process. You're not in it alone. I think not only will you find people that you align with, people that you really get along with, even like it might even shock you, like maybe your ages are very different, or maybe you weren't expecting to connect with people, and what you find is number one, the challenge of college itself can be a great opportunity to bond with others. But also what I think you'll realize is that you always had it in you to do this type of study, to go the distance and to make it happen. And I think that one thing that you will find through this process that you couldn't have gotten in any other way is that by actually trying and going for it, you're going to be not only really proud of yourself, but recognize there is a strength and a determination within you that you couldn't have recognized if you hadn't had the courage to go for it in the first place. You're a lot stronger than you realize. And I do think whatever you're considering will be challenging, but it'll be the sort of challenge that helps you find yourself more deeply and recognize that you have more within you than you thought, and that you can do hard things. And not only can you do hard things, but you can succeed at them, and that you can handle challenges better than you thought. I think you're going to learn a lot about yourself, and I think that you're going to have a stronger level of self-esteem when it's all said and done, because you're going to be like, man, I passed OChem, or I did this class, or I finished this program, and I did it well, or I passed it, period. I can do anything. I think you're really going to believe in yourself, and you're going to find that there's a lot of joy in challenges that have personal meaning to you and that require you to step into a more expansive sense of self and step into levels of self you haven't been challenged to step into before, and realize that there's a lot of joy in self-discovery, and there's a lot of joy in overcoming challenge. And also, I think you might find the relief of asking for help and developing the skill of finding resources to support you so that you don't have to do it alone. I love that. Okay, so this next question is asking, do you need or should you start with a short course or part-time study to become familiar, or just would that be more beneficial for you? We have the Six of Pentacles. So I definitely think it all comes down to what will be the most balanced. I feel like for some of you, it might depend on scholarships. You may not be able to you might have to choose between like what would be better for you practically versus like practically in terms of like energy levels, like schedule versus financial aid that you could receive, especially if you're in the United States, or I don't know what Canada's deal is. But I think it basically depends on what is going to be the most balanced for you and what is going to be the best for you in terms of finances. For some of you, you may want to choose to just go for it and do full time if scholarships or fellowships or funds that could support your studies, if it's contingent, if those are contingent on you studying full time, I would say do it full time. However, if you're going to be paying this out of pocket, I would definitely say start with something smaller first so that you're sure that you want to go through with it, especially if you're in the US. Like, college is not cheap. So you want to make sure that you know what you're doing before you fully commit financially to doing it. So this is definitely an answer of you need to choose what is going to work best for you. But if you have financial resources that will support your study, I say dive in head first. Because what you will find is that I think for a lot of you, if you do like a part-time, or you study part-time, or you take a course load that doesn't count as a full-time student and you don't qualify for those resources, you might be kind of kicking yourself a little bit because you'll realize that you could have handled it, or that bearing the financial burden on your own without the support is a little bit more stressful than it would have been having the financial support and having a full-time course load. So, but if what you're feeling intuitively goes against the guidance that I'm giving you, do that, because you know yourself better than I do. And with that King of Wands here, I feel like wherever you are determined, whatever you stick to, that is what's going to be best for you. But I would also definitely say for some of you, you might want to look at your program more deeply before you dive in, because you might find it's not what you want to do, or there's actually this other program that you're interested in that might be more supportive for you. So whatever brings the best balance in terms of financial support and practical time management, your own well-being, I would say go for that. There's definitely, I think no matter what, there are some costs that you have to deal with. So for example, you know, if you're working full-time, it may just be impossible for you to also be a student full-time. So in that case, it might be better for you to keep your job and study part-time. And you might even want to talk to your job, because a lot of times jobs will pay for you to go back and get your master's. Definitely pay attention to stuff like that, because I think that there are a lot of jobs out there, especially if you're job hunting, that might pay for you to go to school part-time or something like that. So definitely make sure you're aware of all your options. Be very generous with scholarship applications and things like that if you can. But really just make sure you know all of your options and find what is going to work best for you. You know, it's possible, even if you're paying out of pocket to go to school and not getting certain financial resources, maybe that will make you a more successful student, because you're not investing that much time and energy, that you don't have. Or, you know, if you're somebody who is okay with paying for their own college, but maybe you want to go at a slower pace, and it would be better for you to, you know, only have to have a lighter course load, do that. Whatever is going to be most beneficial for you, I think that is what you should do. And if you're fully uncertain of a program, I would definitely talk to people. Like, I find that just people in, like, I grew up in a college town. I just find that people that work at colleges, students at colleges, the vast majority of the time, they're really cool people. They're very open, they're willing to work with you, they're happy to communicate, and they are always looking to find solutions that are best for everyone. Like, I would always say, when in doubt, reach out, because there's always going to be someone. If they don't have the tools or solutions to help you, someone else will. And if you're nervous about doing that, look online, you know, look at subreddits for these colleges, look at Rate My Professors, look at Google things, you know, look at social media related to it. I mean, I maybe be a little bit careful with like certain social media, because it might be obviously clouded or tailored to look in a certain way, but maybe reach out to people that are in your program, you know, search hashtags, you know, hashtag you of whatever, agriculture program, and be like, hey, like, I'm considering like the agriculture program, like, could you answer my questions? Like, most people are happy to talk about what they're doing and happy to help. So definitely don't be afraid to reach out and ask for help, whether it's a student, faculty, whatever. So third question, so will you actually truly want to study what you have your mind on, or will something else come into the picture? The question in the book says, do you still want to study the same courses as you were younger, or have your preferences changed? So I'm going to kind of interpret all of that. And we have the Four of Pentacles. So I feel like for a lot of you, you will want to stick with what you're choosing. But there might be opportunities to explore, or to, for example, you know, if you have the course load or the option, there might be like a minor that you want to add, or something like that that could be helpful. Like I said, I changed my major 8 times in college, and I graduated with a history minor because I had just taken so many history classes, and that history was one of the majors I had changed to in my uncertainty. So it's possible too that, like, if you hold on to something and find that it doesn't work out and that you want to shift later, you could end up with a minor in it anyway, or something like that. But I think for a lot of you, you have a greater vision of what you want to do. And if you're set on it, then man, I think that's great. If you're obsessed with something, if you're focused on that and know that's what you want to do, I don't think you should force yourself to like explore other things, because truthfully, if you're already in it and you're already doing it, it will become apparent to you later if it's not meant for you, and you'll know what to do then. But I think for a lot of you, you're probably not even open to the idea of doing anything else anyway. Like, you're going back for this specific purpose, or you're going to school for this specific purpose, and like nobody is going to take you away from that. And I do have to kind of comment on the fact that in the mini reading we had the Four of Pentacles come out. So I do think that whatever is calling to you, whatever feels worth it, whatever greater purpose you have, like, hold on to that. But I also would say there's no harm in exploring. If anything, it'll just give you stronger convictions in what you know you want to do, and that'll be beneficial. So, card 4. What are your intentions behind studying? You know, is it for pleasure, a greater career change? Wow, okay, so we have the event horizon, shadow work, inner illumination, reformation of thoughts. So I think that you're studying for a deeper purpose than just to get a degree or to do something else. I think that you're kind of being called to study or called to this path that has a deeper meaning for you. But also, I do think that one of the reasons why you could be called to study is it could be a powerful opportunity for you to look at certain shadows. Like, you know, maybe the part of you that feels like you can't do things, the part of you that's afraid of challenge, or the part of you that is afraid of the unknown, maybe a part of you that's afraid to ask for help or afraid of collaboration or afraid of the new. I feel like all of you are drawn to higher study because there's some deeper purpose for you there. I feel like it will help you get closer to yourself and also give you the legitimacy after going to school to follow some sort of greater purpose that you feel called to. No wonder a lot of you are like attached to whatever program of study you are already consciously aware of, and it's because you know that there's more for you here. I feel like for all of you, even if you don't necessarily know why you want to go back to college or go to college, period, it's because there's something pulling you there. And the fact that we had that affirmation of like healing karmic connections, it's possible maybe you wanted to go in the past, but somebody discouraged you. Or, you know, maybe other people expressed disapproval because you didn't go. And now part of healing is going for yourself and not because other people wanted you to, or other people didn't want you to. I really feel like this event horizon is all about you recognizing your intentions for going back to school, or because that's what you feel drawn to. You feel like you can make a contribution. You know, it may not be easy, but it might actually help illuminate things within you that are dying to be seen. It might give you a greater sense of purpose or make you feel like you're actually taking active, constructive action towards that which has meaning for you and the type of role you want to have in society and the type of contribution you want to get back. I think that's badass, and this is a unique deck in this card, so just know that like you're being drawn to this for a reason. And I would even encourage, if you have the resources or a friend that studies astrology, you might want to look at like what's going on in your houses. You know, maybe there's stuff supporting you going back around this time. Maybe look at what's in your 9th house, or if you have any Sagittarius placements or anything like that. I don't know, I'm not much of an astrologer, so don't take my word for it, but they might be able to give you helpful advice on things around timing, or give you answers to why you've been drawn to certain things. And I think honestly the biggest hurdle and barrier to going back to school is the part of you that feels like you can't do it. And I'm telling you what, you can do it. 1,000,000 times over, you can do it. You might need help, you might need support, you might need certain resources, but those will find you, and you will have the strength and the awareness to recognize when you do need outside resources to support you. And so finally, we have to look at, if you go for this, will you succeed? And we have the 4 of Cups. And for that, I say you will, as long as you realize, okay, so you will as long as you go for it. The only way you're not going to succeed in this is if you neglect yourself, ignore how this experience is impacting you. And like, for example, if let's say you enroll in a class and then you never show up or do anything, you're not going to be successful. If you start school and then you find, oh my God, I'm really struggling, and you don't seek any help and you ignore problems and create overwhelm, you're probably not going to succeed. If you don't care about what you're doing, if you hate what you're doing and ignore and neglect yourself and continue to pay anyway, you're not going to succeed. If you know that you struggle with things like mental health, depression, chronic illness, and you don't seek support, you never speak out about it, and you don't tell anyone what you're dealing with or going through, and you neglect and avoid what you're doing, you won't succeed. Those are the only pitfalls here. Everything else is up to you. And underneath the King of Wands, we have the Magician. Like, yes, if you go for it, if you are honest with yourself, when problems arise that are beyond yourself to fix, you will be fine. The only way you're not going to succeed is if you ignore the problems, ignore that you're struggling, ignore your coursework, and ignore what's being asked of you, and avoid everything altogether to the point where it's irreparably not able to be fixed. And even then, you might be able to go back and retake the courses, but at that point, you might feel like you're too in over your head and overwhelmed. So I would say, look at what within you could make you want to avoid any issues that might arise during coursework, during a semester. And if those are addressed, you like the only thing that can stop you from succeeding is yourself and a refusal to engage with what challenges are making you feel like you can't move forward or you can't ask for help. If you are unwilling to look at those, if you are unwilling to fix things or try your best or continue to show up, you may not succeed. But I think for all of you, you have the ability and the capabilities of asking for help when you need it. Like if you're avoiding yourself and ignoring yourself and neglecting yourself and avoid your coursework and don't do anything, don't turn anything in, don't communicate with anyone, yeah, you might not succeed, but that's only because you're avoiding all pathways to success and ignoring and pretending like obstacles are immovable barriers that you have no power to change, which any King of Wands knows that they can change things, and the King of Wands has the vision to succeed and knows that they can, and I know that you can succeed and you will succeed. I do think that there will be levels of challenge here, but those challenges are not impossible, immovable barriers. Those challenges are real and doable obstacles that not only will you be able to pass and move away, but also that you're going to gain a lot of awareness in yourself and realize like, oh, like when I run into this problem, there's this solution, or oh, I don't have to carry this on my own, or oh, there's something within me that's really struggling right now. Let's get ahead of the problem and talk to someone, because most campuses usually have free mental health resources. Sometimes they are backed up and they might not be the best, but usually they do have some sort of free resources, and that will be enough. Like, it's okay to fall off course, but it's not okay to ignore the problem and be spending tons of money to go to a school and ignoring the fact that you're struggling. If you ignore and avoid to the point where you're not going to class, not doing the work, and not addressing what within you is enabling that, then yeah, you might not succeed. But as long as you avoid those things and recognize them when they're happening, and do the hard thing of facing them when they arise so that you can find solutions that support you through the semester, then yeah, all of you are going to succeed, unless you allow self-sabotage and avoidance to be so powerful and give it that so much power that you literally avoid and pretend you're not in school anymore, which I think would be a silly use of your time and energy. Obviously our brains do it, but the only way you're not going to succeed is if you decide that you can't and avoid every sense of help, self-reflection, self-awareness, and resource that could be there to support you. So yeah, honestly, I think your most powerful barrier right now is just the belief that you can't succeed, or the fear of not trusting yourself, and the fear of like, well, what if I can't handle it? You can handle it. And also another way you won't succeed is if you keep these ideas always in your mind and you never truly go for it. You got to make it real. So we're going to go ahead and finish your group off with some guidance. And I think I'm just going to pull one card. We're using the Chakra Wisdom Oracle for you guys, and I just kind of want to see what the guidance is for you, and maybe if I feel called to another, we'll pull another. But for group number 2, Spirit, what guidance do you have for them when it comes to this journey to school, back to school, their journey in general? What do they need to know, please? We have Vanity. Okay. Oh yeah. The book's underneath the other book. Okay, so yeah, this is the Chakra Wisdom Oracle. Aqua people. I need more, better, bigger. Yes, that will make me okay. So each card has a story. Crystal, Peter, and Mike are at a party in Mike's posh home, toasting success in their business. A mysterious old man appears and asks them whether they prefer gluttony or generosity. Puzzled, none of them answers. He reminds them that more does not mean better, and they laugh. Suddenly, they are alone, far from the party and rising water. We're getting more, cries Peter. Rain falls and the water rises faster. Play, shouts Crystal. We must do well with what we have. And as they begin to have fun in the water, the rain stops. The inspiration says, we all say we will stop when we have enough, but there's never enough. You may be looking outside yourself for validation. The personal inquiry, am I feeling disconnected from many people in my life? Am I growing away from limiting relationships? Key ideas. Environmental tension, living in illusion, self-doubt, power to change, lesser companions, empty conversations. And the key words are faith, awareness, and transformation. So I really feel like this is asking you to look at why you're considering going back to school. Is your avoidance of doing so because you don't want to look stupid? Is your avoidance of doing so because you're afraid of being older than everyone in your class, or afraid of how it might look to be just starting out on your journey? Or are you considering going back to school not because you want to, but because you're afraid if you don't, people will look at you differently or think you're less legitimate? I think there's a key here to look at what your intentions are and why you truly want to go. And I think for the vast majority of you, you want to go because there's something more meaningful there. But I also think that if you're only doing this for the sake of because you feel like you need to be doing more, maybe that's not the best reason. And I definitely think as well, at the same time, there's nothing wrong with wanting more, especially if you know that there's a difference between wanting more for the sake of it and wanting more for meaningful reasons. And so really ask yourself, like, what are my intentions here? What is the truth behind my desire to go to school? Is it so that I can do more in the world, so I can do more with a degree? Or is it because I feel like I need the degree to make me legitimate? And honestly, as sad as it is, that reality does exist, but you don't have to hold on to it or adhere to it if it doesn't make sense for you. And if there are people that are holding you back, like telling you you don't need that and you feel called to it, you know, maybe their own vanity is getting in the way and convincing you of trying to take you off your path because they feel insecure. You might want to look at that as well. There's a meditation that you can do that asks you to visualize an aqua light within you. Imagine people you love surrounding you. Feel the light building and spilling onto your loved ones. Send gratitude to those you love and those you have yet to meet. Bless them all. Notice the energy in any messages that you receive. But I feel called to do one more. So, Spirit, what other guidance do you have for group number 2? Please. I had a feeling this card was going to come out, and I love that it did. And the guidance card here is dissipating. So 2 energy centers, the throat and solar plexus chakras. We have, I am more than I think I am. Canary, a pet bird, has wonderful ideas for an action movie starring his owner, Mrs. Robinson. They frequently discuss the exciting plot with friends and family, but when they are given money to make the screenplay a reality, Canary and Mrs. Robinson choose to go on a cruise instead. For the rest of their lives, they talk about their great story and exist in fantasy, not reality. Beware of being imprisoned by the story you tell. Do you intend to do what you say? Personal inquiry. A lack of planning does not indicate misfortune. Am I doing what I say? Key ideas: taking action, content to dream, going in circles, strong intelligence, making excuse, procrastinating. And the key words are companionship, connection, and assistance. So yeah, this is really saying, like, this is that 4 of Cups energy. That is the only way you won't succeed is if you never go for it. And the only way you won't succeed is if you don't actually do the coursework or address any problems as they arise that can make it harder or make the challenges overwhelming. I really do feel like you're being encouraged to look at, like, am I holding back because I'm afraid of looking stupid? Am I holding back because the idea of it is more pleasurable than the reality? Am I holding back because I'm afraid I can't? I do think you can. You're more than you think you am. And you're more than you think you are. You're more than you think you am. You're like, Asa, you need to go back to school. And I'm like, I know. I'm actually thinking about it. I'm thinking about it as well, but I haven't. There's a lot of different things that I want to do, and I don't know what I want to do, and I don't know where I want to be. So I'm waiting until then. And I'm also worried about how it would impact my ability to show up here. So, like, I've got things to consider as well, but the meditation, sit quietly with what you speak of so frequently. Take a breath. What do you wish to do? Become aware of the feeling in your body. Is it apprehension, enthusiasm? In your mind's eye, take one step toward carrying out your wish. For example, are you thinking of writing a book? Pull out the first sheet of paper, turn on the computer, then take the next step. Then the next. Will you dream it or do it? So I think that's beautiful. And no matter what answers you come to, trust they're the ones that are meant to be, and know that whether you choose to go or choose not to go, your value and your worth is not in the in what you choose. It's in how you feel about yourself and whether you recognize it inherently or not. And also just know that no matter what you choose to do, all of it is leading you closer to yourself. And I think one of the best ways to think of school is it allows doorways to open that may be closed otherwise. But just know you don't have to go through those doorways to be valid. So pile number 2, that's where I'm going to leave this reading. Thank you guys so much for watching, and thank you so much for letting my ads play in the background. That is the simplest and easiest ways to support me and show appreciation for my channel. So thank you to everyone who does that. If you'd like to support me in other ways, you can like this video, comment down below, let me know how it resonates. You can subscribe if you haven't already and click that little notification bell to be notified whenever I upload a new reading. You can check out my merch, you can check out my social media, you can check out my other videos, especially ones with extendeds. You can check out my candles and all that jazz. But that's all I have for you guys. So thank you so much for watching and for letting me read for you. I hope you all have a wonderful day or night whenever it is that you're watching this video, and I hope you'll come back and see me again soon. Bye! Hi there, pile 3. Welcome to your reading, and thank you so much for being here. If you guys chose the red blood cell and number 152, this is going to be your mystery message. So just to save time, your reading is going to be on making more money. So the spread specifically says when plans go awry and your usual money source dries up. So you may not be in those circumstances. I'm going to kind of make it a bit more general, but if you have been concerned about finances, wanting to increase your finances, or this message in general, if you're struggling financially or had a usual money source dry up, this is the reading for you. If not, feel free to just pick another group. But if you want to stick around for the affirmation before you leave, feel free to. So your affirmation from the 1111 Oracle is, if I can turn to it, 152, changes in my relationships bring about a new chapter in my life. So that could be a sign that financial abundance could be tied. Okay, it fell. It's fine. Sorry for being dramatic. It could be tied to relationship changes of some kind. You know, maybe someone who is a financial drain, maybe there have been changes there recently, or maybe someone has been brought into your life who could be a source of financial opportunity. You know, maybe you guys motivate each other, maybe you end up working together, or maybe they know a guy who knows a guy who brings you into more business. Whatever the case may be, healing in your relationships is coming, or changes in your relationships are coming that are supportive and empowering. And one of the relationships that may be changing is just your relationship to money or your relationship to making it. So this spread asks us to use only the major arcana. So I separated only the major arcana from the Modern Witch Tarot deck. And we have 4 cards to look at. So the first card that we are looking at is it worth one more try to revive the money source, and how? So I'm going to ask instead, the money sources that you do have, what is the viability of making more money from them? So the money sources that pile number 3 already does have, what is their viability to continue making money from them? What is the answer to that? What is the viability of making money from the sources that pile number 3 is already familiar with? You know, it is funny, I was getting messages about pile number 3 and pile number 1. They're 2 totally different topics, but if you have a friend in your life that really makes you feel bad about yourself and doesn't treat you very well, you might want to check out pile number 1, because that's what pile number 1's reading is about. So the next question is, what is your first port in the storm? I don't know what that means or what the author was intending. So I'm going to guess, I'm going to rephrase it to, where are their financial opportunities headed, or where can financial relief be found? So where can financial relief and financial opportunities be found in the near future for group number 3, please? Okay, and finally, for card 3, how can you avoid financial disaster? So how can pile 3 avoid financial disaster or making any situations worse. Okay. And then the last card is, what unexpected positive factor, input, rescuer will intervene? So we're saving that bad boy for last. So Spirit, what unexpected positive factor, input, or rescuer will intervene to support pile 3's financial goals and financial abundance? Okay, great. On the back of the deck, we have the Wheel of Fortune. I've been taking the back of the deck in each group. And this is a positive sign to me that things will be getting better in general, and that some of the shifts and changes you may be experiencing are related to things outside of your control, and it may require you just having a willingness to work with what is and to not beat yourself up for things that are outside of your control. But this is a positive sign. I mean, the Wheel of Fortune is connected to Jupiter, and Jupiter is connected to things like abundance. So I do think that even if financially things are not where you want them to be, I do think you're headed in a direction where things will be better than they used to be, and better than you could maybe imagine them being. The only way they couldn't be is if you don't believe that being possible. So I would check yourself if that's the case. I was getting something else though with that as well. Oh, if you are an Aquarius moon, a Pisces moon, or an Aries moon, you may be dealing with sati sati, which I'm not very familiar with like the nuances of it, but I've heard it discussed. Essentially, if you're one of those 3 moon signs, Saturn could be interacting with you in ways that make life a bit more challenging, that could lead to certain restrictions. So you may want to look at how that's affecting you. The guidance for that is to lean into your North Node. So whatever your North Node is, wherever it is in your chart, the best way to deal with this time for yourself is to lean into whatever you're meant to learn in this lifetime. That's what Saturn is leading you towards anyway. So yeah, okay, let's start with your first card. And for that, we are asking, what is the viability of the financial sources that you have? Is it worth it to try and revive, or focus your energy and efforts there? Okay, so with the Hierophant being here, this to me is about, it seems like whatever you have been getting, whatever you have been receiving, it seems like you will continue to get that. However, it is a bit more like what you put in is what you'll get out. This is a more traditional means. So for example, if you have a contract with someone, if you have a job with someone, you can expect you're going to get what was promised until that runs out. If this is, like, for example, something like a financial resource where you create the structure, the ability to get back what you put in is heavily dependent on how you price yourself, how you get yourself out there. Like, for example, if you rely on online business, you know, you might have to put in more money for like search engine optimizations or ads in order to maybe get back more results. This definitely seems like something where it is a more traditional means, and there is a structure to it. It seems like crazy shifts are less likely here. It seems like things follow a specific structure. An example, like, you know, if you do anything with the internet, things that you know will do well, you're probably going to receive a better result, a better financial outcome than things that are less popular. If you know certain things are popular, certain things do well, or that if you post more, that you receive more engagement, follow those ideas. If you are in a position where, like, for example, maybe you're in a job and you're not getting what you need, or there have been financial cuts, you may want to look at whether there is any wiggle room for you. You know, can you talk about promotions or a raise if you need it? Do you have any leverage against a job or a position? Do you need to price yourself differently if you're an independent contractor or practitioner? Or do you need to shift your schedule if you know you can't change your pricing or monetization system in the meantime? I would also say, though, the Hierophant also makes me think of church and religion. If you are in dire enough straits to where you need like stuff for survival, I would definitely look into things like food banks and church donations, usually they have resources and support for you. But in terms of financial structures, you might want to look into, what is it called? Programs designed to help people. So like if, for example, you're unemployed right now, you might want to look into programs that help you find jobs or direct you to where you need to go. This can also talk about study as well. So if you know that, for example, you're studying something and so you're not able to get support, or you know, if you have limited financial resources, you may need to do just some working on like, okay, how am I going to make this last and how am I going to be strategic in the meantime? I think in general though, the more structure you have and the safer you play it with what is already there, the better it will be. I definitely wouldn't put all of your eggs in this basket, in the sense that it seems like there's limited capacity for fluctuation. It kind of seems like whatever it is, you're being guided to play it safe and do what other people recommend. So like, you know, for example, if you are an independent contractor, if people are recommending that you raise your prices, raise your prices. If you are being recommended to do some sort of study, talk to someone who can be supportive with financial help and resources. But I actually feel called to grab one of my tarot books and just see what it says in terms of career for the Hierophant, because there might be a message that I'm missing. This is the How to Read Modern Tarot by Jessica Wiggin. As you can see, it has a lot of love for me. The Hierophant is asking you to consult a trusted advisor to help you develop your future goals. It is not a time to rock the boat. Follow established rules whether or not you agree with them. This card's appearance could also be a suggestion to create more routine in your work schedule. So that too, like I said, if there is a mentor that can help you, but also if your routine, if consistency, more discipline or routine could yield more results, like if you know what you put in is what you get out, maybe it's time to look at how you can put more in, even if it is going to be a bit strenuous. I feel like if it brings you more financial security in the meantime, it might be worth it. So now let's look at what is the first opportunity or pathway to greater financial abundance, or to getting what you need or what you desire financially. And so for that, we have the Moon, which is not very helpful. I think one of the greatest pathways is dealing with how you deal with fear. The fact that we have the Moon here, the Moon can often talk about illusions, deceptions, lies. And I think that there are beliefs within you that you can't do more, or that things will go horribly if you try something differently. Or like, for example, if you are an independent contractor and you're like, I can't raise my prices, people will be mad at me. Well, then if people are mad at you for doing what you need to do in order to support yourself, F those people. There's something about needing to face fear around how people respond to what you need to do financially, and recognize that those people don't know what they're talking about and they don't pay your bills. I am actually going to go back to the book and see if there's any guidance there, because I'm like, oh great, the Moon, a lack of clarity. That doesn't really help much. But let's just see if Miss Book can help us. If you are pursuing a career in psychology, the arts, or therapy, the Moon can be a nod towards a work-related reading. Otherwise, it shows up when things around you seem to be in a constant state of flux. Your work environment is unpredictable, or you are getting bogged down by stress and pressure to the point where it is negatively affecting your mental health. The Moon may also be signaling to you that someone behind the scenes is secretly trying to sabotage you, your work, and your reputation. Okay, well, if that is the case, I don't really know what to tell you in terms of how to deal with that. I just always know that actions have consequences and karma doesn't skip anyone. So if anyone is doing anything like that, the best thing that you can do is trust in yourself and trust that anyone that is like that, that behavior will be brought to light and they will get their due justice. If you have any particular guidance on how to deal with it, I would go there. But also, if you've been guided to study in the arts, therapy, psychology, this might be your sign that there's a new financial outlet there. So artistic creativity. Taking on a course or getting a new licensure might be something that is supportive or beneficial. You might have to do a little bit of, you might have to conserve in the meantime while you make that happen, but it might be a helpful resource. For the long run, it might be something that supports you or becomes like a side thing, or maybe a full-time thing. You never know. But what I do know is that right now, a lot of fear and uncertainty is going to just make your life harder. And it's really easy to sit here and say, like, don't be fearful. But when you're stressed about finances, even if it's not logical or even if it's highly logical, like that weight just is really heavy in general. And I'm not going to sit here and say, just stop being afraid. I would say try to manage your stress levels and try to pay attention to when the fear becomes immobilizing and see what you can do to support yourself through that process, whether it is, asking Google for help, asking, whatever tools you trust, whatever free tools that you trust for help, looking into community mental health resources. I think all of that could be really helpful. There are more often than not free or discounted resources in your community, depending on where you live and depending on what's going on. It may require a level of just being willing to look in places you haven't explored yet and seeing if there are resources you weren't aware of that could just help you through this time. I also think, though, that you may be wanting a quick, fast solution to come to you, and that may not exist right now. And I know that may be troubling or frustrating, but I do feel called to say to all of you that you may be catastrophizing your situation more than is actually real, and that might be making it harder for you to make concrete and tangible steps forward because the fear of things getting even worse is immobilizing. And so I do think for some of you, the answer to that may not be pushing yourself harder and beating yourself up. The answer might be giving yourself time to rest and recuperate, or just giving yourself a day off to not have to worry about it. Or if you don't have that luxury, finding a solution to where at the very least when you're going to bed, you find a way to put that worry down at least until the morning, just so that you can get some reprieve and some rest. The one thing I do know, though, is that there is a pathway to the new and you are getting there, but it may feel like there is no solution that brings you immediate peace. And I feel like Spirit is wanting you to know that I think things will feel worse and scarier than they really are. And I also feel like things will be resolving themselves before you even realize it. And it will actually take you a lot longer to become aware that things are better, things are resolving themselves. Like they'll be resolving themselves sooner than you realize. And it might just take you time to become aware of it because you're constantly on guard, constantly like worrying. So I do think one of the best things that you can do is recognize how fear makes it harder for you to move forward, how it makes it harder for you to find solutions, and how that stress weighs on you and what you can do to manage that stress, because catastrophizing and stressing doesn't lead to any positive or constructive solutions. And I know it's easy to know that, but it's hard to actually do that and move beyond it. So really challenge yourself to just even maybe give yourself permission to feel good and feel okay and recognize what you do have, recognize what is around you, and look for opportunities and free solutions to maybe stressors that you have. I also think, though, that if you do spells or things like that with the moon, that could be beneficial. I feel like Spirit is really saying, don't be afraid to get creative and get intuitive with how you move forward. It's almost like a lot of means that may make less sense for others or make perfect sense for you and are supportive for you. And considering you already kind of have this structure and this kind of like knowing of what you can lean on and how you can protect and support yourself as you move forward, even though, it may mean you need to conserve, it may mean that you need to sell some things or that you need to like move things around in the meantime, I do feel like not only are things going to be okay, but as you move through this process, you could just make it a bit easier by focusing on how your mental state holds you back rather than moves you forward. But I also think that if there are things that you've been called to that you refuse to do out of fear, I think those are the financial opportunities you're being called to explore the most. Like, if you're being called to put your stuff on social media and you're afraid of that, maybe that's what you're being called to do. If you're being called to go to schooling that you're nervous about, the second reading was about schooling, so you might want to check out pile number 2 if you're uncertain about that. That could be helpful. Ultimately, though, the fear is scarier than the change. And I think what you're going to realize is the more you take constructive action and have the self-awareness to recognize how fear gets in your way, how it immobilizes you, the more empowered you will be to recognize where you're doing all you can, where maybe you need to give yourself more grace, where you need to allow yourself more time and patience and let things unfold as they will, and where you can maybe do more to support yourself. All of that will just kind of help you know what's real and what's true, and be the counterbalance to those parts of you that are like, we're gonna fall apart, everything's gonna go to shit, like fearful stories. Like, you're gonna be able to stop those in their tracks more easily and have more energy to focus on constructive action and rest when you need it. So then next we have, how can you avoid disaster? So we have the Chariot, and that makes a lot of sense. The 2 ways to avoid disaster are to try and stay as balanced as possible and keep moving forward, even if it's just an inch. The Chariot is all about success, and I think one of the things that you need to recognize is the only way you will be unsuccessful is if you just stop moving, don't believe in yourself, and give up entirely. You are going to move through this time, and I think that there's going to be powerful opportunities and lots of opportunities to gain wisdom that actually helps you increase your financial abundance in the future. But I also think one of the things that can help you avoid disaster is just being less harsh on yourself. I do feel like you have this tendency or this belief like it's all your fault what's happening to you, and whether that's true or it's not, whether it's half true, it doesn't really matter. Beating yourself up doesn't help you move forward. I find a lot of people, I guess some people are motivated by shame, and those that are motivated by shame, you know, probably do well because we live in a shame-based culture. But if you are not someone who deals with shame well, if shame makes you feel weighed down, if shame makes you feel like crap and not want to move forward, I don't think you should use that to try to propel you forward. I think if anything, you should recognize how intense your challenges have been, how hard it is to move forward when you are weighed down mentally and emotionally by fears, whether valid or not, and recognize how much strength it takes to move forward anyway. So I would definitely say part of this requires a level of trust in self and a willingness to just move forward even when it feels hard. You can avoid disaster by not giving up on yourself. And even if you have those desires to or want to, give yourself a day and then keep moving forward. And that's part of balance. Like, recognize when you are teetering on burnout or when you're doing more than enough and you just need to give yourself a break and be patient. More than anything, I feel like you are headed towards much brighter days. And the more you can try and remain positive, like, without denying your experience. Like, for example, I know that it's going to take time to where I want to be financially, but I'm doing everything that I can and I'm not letting fear hold me back. Like, that I feel like is empowering and helpful with momentum. I also just feel like in general, the more you can trust in yourself and trust in where you're being carried, trust your intuition and trust in your ability to face your fears, the faster things are going to move along. And just paying attention to when any part of you is being severely neglected, whether it's your mental body, your emotional body, your physical body especially, because you need your vessel in order to get anything done around here. You know, if you are exhausted or constantly pushing yourself to the brink, you may just need some time to rest, because when you actually have that rest, then your brain has space and opportunity to look at opportunities it couldn't see before. You have energy to move forward, even if it's just a little bit. I definitely think that you're building powerful foundations and learning the process of, and we did talk about this in the mini reading, the balance between practicality and risk-taking and going beyond known boundaries without going beyond without a parachute. You know what I mean? Like, so trying new things, but ensuring there's something safe to land on, even if they don't work out. I definitely think the more you can find balance inward and be able to consciously recognize when there are internal or external forces that are making it scarier or harder to move forward, seeing those and doing things anyway, but also just recognizing when there's a huge deficiency or lack within you, like for example, a lack of sleep, a lack of positive reinforcement in your life, just something to help you move forward to counteract or counterbalance negative or problematic influences that really may be just making life harder than it needs to be when it's already hard enough. Like, those are the things that are going to help you move forward more balanced and more easily. And I think one thing that needs to be balanced is your perspective as well. You know, if you're expecting yourself to become a whole different person overnight, or expecting things to work out on their own without you doing anything differently, or expecting that you'll just be able to be inhumanly productive for a long period of time, you know, maybe you can, but eventually you're gonna have to go back and attend to the parts of yourself you neglected when you were pushing yourself so hard. So do your best to find that balance, and also trust in how your spirit carries you during this time. And I think when things get really tough, find ways to mother yourself. If you have a mother figure in your life, I would look to them for support or nourishment. If you don't have a mother figure in your life, or don't have a positive relationship with a mother figure in your life, treat yourself the way you wished your mother would have. You know, I'm sure you probably have someone in mind, whether they be a character or someone else's parent, and ask yourself what they would say to you. What guidance would they give you? And how can you give that to yourself? I definitely think, though, don't be afraid to rely on others. Don't be afraid to rely on external resources, especially free ones, especially friends that care about you. There's no shame in needing help. And honestly, I feel like no matter what, like, everything will be okay. The fear is just the worst part, and the uncertainty is the worst part. But the beautiful thing is that you have you to rely on, and you are strong and powerful and capable and intelligent. And this time will not be forever, and you will move through it with flying colors, and honestly be really impressed with yourself, and look back and be like, I wish I would, like, well, if you take my advice, then you can look back and say, wow, I'm so glad I didn't beat myself up unnecessarily. It made an already stressful process a little bit less stressful, and made it a bit easier to move forward. But if you do, you'll just look back and be like, damn, I wish I wasn't so hard on myself, and I wish I wouldn't have let fear get in my way so much, because I'm actually super capable, and that fear took up energy that I could have used to find a solution, or research support, or just sleep better. But let's go ahead now and look at what unexpected positive factor, input, or rescuer will intervene. And for that, we have strength. So a Leo person could be significant in helping you, but also I think that this could be someone seeing your strength, someone wanting to take an opportunity on you that's really helpful. But also, I think that what you will find as well is an inhuman sort of strength within you that allows you to move through a really hard time, where you'll look back and be like, I don't know how I did that. So maybe you're like working 3 jobs and schooling, and somehow you have the energy to do all of it, and then you look back and you're like, wow, I don't know how I did it. It's like, whatever you need in order to get through this time, like, you may have just enough to pay your bills, or just enough to keep things from falling apart for as long as you need to, until it is time for more. I feel like the universe will be giving you what you need. You might have to be smart with what you receive, but I feel like even if it's down to the wire, you're gonna be getting what you need when you need it. Not only that, but I feel like your determination and perseverance is attracting people and resources that can help and support you along the way. And not only that, I feel like it will strengthen your connection to yourself and your trust in yourself. Like, you will be carried by energies that you couldn't even imagine having until you need them. And it's like they appear without you even really needing to ask to. it's like you align with the right sorts of people. You align with the programs or resources you need. You have the energy within, and you have the boldness and courage within to go after things that maybe the version of you a year ago wouldn't. And part of that may come from a place of desperation, or it's now or never. But realistically, you're getting what you need to get the job done, and get not only what you need to keep going, but what you need to build an even stronger foundation. I also think, though, with this infinity sign, like, you're also going to be getting a lot of allies on your path. And you're going to be getting signs as well that you're on the right path. And I think someone who has more financial strength than you, or someone who has like a lot of contacts or resources at their disposal, could come in and help you. They could help you find the right people. They could help you with application processes. They could help you with guidance. I definitely think whatever resources on your path could help you move forward, they will be there as long as you accept them. And a lot of times you're not going to have to figure this out. It's just a matter of you being open and taking opportunities when they come to you. And I think one of the big things about this strength and this fear is, like, if fear has immobilized you in the past, it's not going to be doing that in the near future. Partially maybe because you may not have the luxury of allowing it, but also you may realize that when you have the luxury of allowing fear into your life, how it stopped you and how it hurt you and how maybe it contributed to the situation you're in now. And instead realizing that you were always this strong, you were always this capable. And it's like when you feel like you don't have enough, you feel like you don't have anything left, somehow there is more. It makes me think of like the story in the Bible about like the fish and the loaves that like Jesus was giving out. Like they weren't supposed to have enough, and then somehow by some miracle they did have enough, and for everyone. I don't have the specifics of it. If someone more eloquent than me would like to describe it or discuss it, feel free. But yeah, like I think that miracles are going to be happening, and when all seems lost, and when you seem like everything is just fucked, you're gonna find that like that's when a miracle happens, and that's when you're like, oh my God, like thank you. Never underestimate the power of prayer or just asking for help or self-belief. I feel like the universe wants you to know that everything is gonna be okay, and no matter how tough or close things get, you will move through this time, and it will be okay. And speaking of, for your guidance, I'm going to pull 2 cards here, and these are going to represent spiritual energies that are watching over and protecting you during this time that you can pray to. But we're also going to look in the book, because the book has solutions and guidance based on these energies and what they want you to know. So what spiritual entities rooted in unconditional love and sovereignty are watching over pile 3 and that have guidance and support for them? So who is watching over pile 3 during this time? Who can pile 3 pray to? So the first one we have is Archangel Azrael. Death and rebirth, life changes, transitions. Definitely sounds like a fitting angel. And who else is open for healing and support? Who can pile 3 go to, pray to? Who will be watching over pile 3 during this time in their life, please? And we have Goddess Isis, resurrection, magic, fertility. So let's start with Archangel Azrael. This is the Angels Among Us deck. It kind of makes me uncomfortable how attractive the beings are sometimes. Archangel Azrael's name means angel of death. While he is a powerful guide and a comforter in times of grief and loss, he turns up during a physical death and also supports you during all times of change, life transitions, and during that difficult period between one thing ending and the next thing not yet beginning. Archangel Azrael can offer you comfort and strength at the completion of a cycle during big shifts and transformations. He's also a powerful ally when working with mediumship and calling on loved ones in spirit. So with love and relationships, it says take time to grieve for those you've lost through death, divorce, breakup, falling out, or simply growing apart. Let go and release relationships and people that you know are no longer right for you in your life at this time. With work, something needs to change. It may be time to change jobs or change the energy around your current work situation. Home, let go of the things you no longer need that are weighing you down. Put up photos of your passed over loved ones to keep them near. So that could be one thing. You could sell things you no longer want anymore, put those up. Money, you have the power to create new money for yourself. Let go of old habits and patterns and start to form new ones that will support you financially. Well-being, declutter all areas of your life. Let go of things, people, thoughts, and beliefs that no longer serve you. You definitely have thoughts and beliefs that don't serve you. So, and I think that they could be connected to your ability to find resolution in your financial life. And I know people like don't want to believe that that's true, and it can be very triggering, but I do think that like what you believe and what you accept can change your experience. And spirituality, connect with your past over loved ones in spirit. Ask them to show up in your dreams and through signs, and you will recognize. So yeah, it definitely looks like they are watching over you in that aspect. But also Goddess Isis. Oh yeah, and taking time to grieve what has been lost. Like if you need time to do that, like I feel like it will help you feel lighter and move forward. Giving yourself time to heal and process as well, I think is important, and looking forward with hope is important as well. So now we have 32. So Goddess Isis is considered to be one of the most important and powerful goddesses of ancient Egypt, a goddess of fertility and feminine power. Goddess Isis is also known as the goddess of the moon. Okay, so Miss Ma'am's definitely going to be helping you during this time of moving through fear and uncertainty. Magic and power. She is known as a healing goddess who can heal the sick and a protector of women and children. According to Osiris myth, Goddess Isis was so powerful she was able to resurrect her husband Osiris after he was killed. Goddess Isis is also known as the goddess of queenship and often seen with a throne above her head. And that's the thing too, is I feel like if you're not ready to let go of like the financial resources that already exist in your life, like I do believe they can be resurrected and be more powerful. It might require you just asking for more, changing certain structures, or be willing to show up more often or differently. Stand in your power, go for what you want and make it happen. Sit on the throne of your life. For love and relationships, do whatever you can to help and support those you love. You can and will change lives by how much you love others. Take that as it resonates. Work. Being a queen is not about titles. It's about energy. Move through your working day as the queen, king, or gender-neutral monarch that you are. Stand strong, be loyal and just. Delegate and practice saying no when you can. Home. Be the queen of your own domain. Consider some ways you can make your home feel like your own sacred temple and palace. And also, like when it comes to being a sacred temple, a place where you can let go of your worries and ground. Because, you know, if you spend all your time like worrying and stressing and fearing, that makes it harder to find solutions. It drains your energy and things like that. And I know it's easier said than done, but it's worth it to try. Money. Spend your money on things that make you feel prosperous and abundant. Remember, not all queens need to sit on golden thrones. One of the things that might make you feel prosperous and abundant is budget shopping, discount shopping, you know, selling things you no longer need and using that money to replace it with what you do. Well-being. Create healthy, loving boundaries with people in your life. When you protect yourself, you are better able to assist others in the way that works for you. And spirituality, explore and study different magical paths and practices, and find your own unique way to weave your magic in positive ways in your life and in the world around you. So I definitely think as well. And look, mother healing is there. So like I was saying with mother energy, I definitely think you need help with feeling more powerful, confident, and secure in you and who you are. But I also think magical practices and spell work that could increase your finances. Obviously, don't do anything that's like silly or just financially not supportive, but if you feel like that could help, why not do it, even if you're uncertain about it. But protection as well for your finances for moving forward, I think that could be helpful. And you can embody the energy by stepping into and owning your power, becoming the queen of your own life, setting healthy and loving boundaries, taking action to make your dreams come true, and doing what it takes to get where you want to go. And that's the big thing, doing what it takes to get where you want to go. You might find that you just move and then spirit brings the wings that carry you and give you the energy to do so in ways that you couldn't imagine. So pile 3, I really hope this reading was helpful. I know it's not as helpful as just getting the resources you need to feel more at peace, but you're gonna do that and it's gonna be okay. So that is where I am leaving this reading. Thank you guys so much for watching, and thank you so much for letting my ads play in the background. That's the simplest and easiest way to support me and help me. So thank you to everyone who does that. But if you'd like to support me in other ways, you can like this video, comment down below, let me know how it resonates, subscribe if you haven't already. Click that little notification bell to be notified whenever I upload a new reading. Shout out to my notification squad. If you want me to see your comments, I usually see comments when I first upload. And after that, it is up to fate and the universe. But I do my best to try to respond to as many people as I can, unless I feel unsafe. Other things, candles, social media, other videos, ones with extendeds. But yeah, I think that's all I have for you guys. So thank you so much for watching and for letting me read for you. I really hope that this reading resonated and brought you what you needed. And I feel like more than anything, like you are being brought into a stronger financial situation, period. So just know that things are getting better. I love you guys so much. The only way they can't get better is if you don't try and actively do nothing. And I know you're not going to do that. So I hope you all have a wonderful day or night whenever it is that you're watching this video. Thank you so much for being here. I love you guys so much, and I hope you'll come back and see me again soon. Bye! Hi there, Pile 4. Welcome to your reading, and thank you so much for being here. If you guys chose the little platelet and the number 176, this is going to be your reading on your mystery message meant to find you. So just to save time, the spread that was picked for you guys is, can you reach the top of your profession? However, I am going to tweak it a little bit. I am going to ask, can you be successful / reach the top of your career of interest, or the one that you're currently in? For some of you, you may be considering pursuing this. I'm just going to make it a bit more general. If you're not interested in that topic, maybe just wait and let me read the message that's for you, and then you can go or try a different group if you want to. I'll just give you help. The last 3 readings, pile 1 was about a friend that isn't treating you well. Pile 2 was about should you go back to school or should you go to school to study? That might be helpful if the career you're asking about requires that. And pile 3 was about finances, improving your financial situation. So if you're interested in any of those, feel free to check them out. They are meant for you as long as they resonate for you. You don't have to overthink it. Okay, but let's go ahead and see what your affirmation message is. My confidence in the wisdom of the heart inspires others to seek and trust their own heart's wisdom. I love that. And I definitely think that this is something that you will face when you are in a career that you are passionate about. I think that passion can be infectious. And considering we are doing a reading on a profession of interest or a profession you're already in, I definitely feel like when you are invested and your heart is involved, you can not only move mountains, but inspire others to do the same. And also shout out to everyone who's ever, like said that my readings helped you in any way, or that like you felt more inspired to be yourself because I was being myself. That stuff just like heals me. Especially the stuff about feeling like you can be more yourself, because it is low-key kind of painful being yourself to the great internet void, but it's so healing on the other side of it to know that it helps some of y'all feel comfortable to be yourselves as well. Okay, so the spread that we're doing has 6 different cards in it, and we're going to be using the Accurate AF Tarot. And your guidance deck is going to be the Sacred Rebels Oracle by Lana Fairchild. And also, if you're enjoying this reading, or well, it hasn't started yet, you're like, well, I will be once you start it. Noted. If you do enjoy it once I start it, thank you for leaving a like, because that is just super helpful to me and lets me know what you guys like to see. So we're going to start by asking, so the first question is, will you put 100% effort into advancing your career? I don't like that question. So what I'm going to ask is, what is the energy needed to reach the top or reach the level of success you want in your ideal profession or the profession you're already in? So Spirit, what energy, force, effort is needed for group number 4 to get to where they want to be in their chosen profession or the profession they're already in? What is needed for them to get to where they want to go? Okay, so that will be card 1. Next, the next question is, are you prepared to face jealousy and resentment from rivals? I don't think that's helpful. I'm going to be changing this a lot. I'm going to rewrite this to, how can you deal with jealousy and resentment from rivals? So, Spirit, what guidance do you have for group number 4 about dealing with jealousy and resentment from rivals? I will say one thing that can help is a rising tide raises all ships. The next question is, will you succeed at networking to gain the right support in your upward journey? So one thing I want to note here, and I'm just going to kind of show you it. It might be hard to read depending on the screen that you have, but a lot of these questions are being posed in like a do you have this or do you don't sort of thing. And I feel like that is less productive, because I think that we can all grow and change. And so if you do tarot for yourself, or if you are looking for the right questions to ask in a personal reading, I would focus on gearing the questions in ways that allow you to find what you need, or the tools or guidance you need to get into a certain energy, rather than can you do it or not, because most oftentimes you can. So rather than asking, will you succeed at networking to gain the right support for your upward journey, what networking is needed, or where do you need to network, I think would be more helpful. So what guidance around networking is going to be beneficial? Where will you find the most success in your networking endeavors? So if you're ever like trying to find better questions, always look at constructive ways that you can place your personal power into the question. I find that to be more beneficial than just asking, will this happen or will it won't? Because then it feels like the outcome is outside of our control. But also there's no shade. Like, this author who made this is great and incredible. My little tidbit. So what does pile 4 need to do in order to successfully network and move forward in their upward journey? What guidance do you have for pile 4 when it comes to networking? So I'll put that there. Next, and I should mention you guys are also using the full deck, which wasn't the case for every group. But the next question is, should you change companies, relocate frequently for increasing promotion? So I think that one's pretty good. Let's just word it as, let's just leave it as it is. Even if it's different, I'll find different interpretations. So should group 4 change companies, relocate, shift their environment more frequently in order to have the upward journey they are looking for? Okay, we've got 2 cards there. And then 5 is, would it be better to work your way up in your current organization, making as few moves as possible? Okay, so what if pile 4 chose to stay where they are, to stay loyal to one place, one organization, one endeavor? How would that affect their upward trajectory? I'm not looking. Okay. And then finally, what good luck factor will aid you? What good luck factor? Actually, no, because this question is asking, can you reach the top or reach the level that you want to in your profession? And so, well, I guess if I asked for an outcome question, it could be different for everyone. So I guess I am going to honor it. I take that back. I am going to honor it. What good luck factor will aid you in reaching the top or the level of career success you want to be in? I feel like that is helpful. That works. Okay, and I've been looking at the bottom of the deck energies, and the bottom of the deck energy is the sun. And I love this because, first of all, one thing I love about this deck is that there's little keywords, and your keywords are positivity and abundance. I've been reading the bottom of the deck energy for each group, and I've kind of just been taking it as a message or a main idea. And the fact that we have the sun here, you cannot fail. There is a lot of positivity and abundance within your career world right now, or in the career that you are eyeing. And I feel like the universe is saying that not only do you have the green light, but like the sun is shining on your endeavors. You will find that a lot of the things that you fear not only end up being non-factors, but also the more positive you are about your journey, the more positive you are about what is possible for you, the more you will realize that not only did that help you build momentum and keep going when things got tough or when things do get challenging, but you'll also realize that it's a lot less taxing on the spirit, on the body, on the mind, when you do have a positive mentality and a positive attitude, because the challenges that we can face in life are already hard enough. And having a negative attitude or beating ourselves up can just make that worse. So I feel like there's a lot of positivity around your career goals, around where you want to be. And I feel like there's an abundance of support and resources. So like, can you reach the top of your profession? Yes, absolutely. I think the only way you couldn't is if you like fully gave up and went somewhere else. But let's go ahead and start this dang reading, because I've been yapping a lot. But hopefully what I shared is helpful for those of you that are interested. Now, the funny thing is you get to watch me struggle to pick up these cards, but will you put 100, what do you need in order to advance in your career? So that is the Eight of Wands, alignment and progress. So I feel like this is just continuous action, showing up, doing your best. Also, that's another reason why positivity is important. Especially if you are in a workplace where you're around other people, if you have coworkers, I feel like negativity can sometimes be infectious in those places. And so I feel like if you honor your job first and foremost and getting your goals done, I feel like that will be helpful. But also, just keep going. I feel like as long as you're continuing to move onwards and upwards in ways where you are, you know, showing up, being consistent, taking action, completing things quickly, working smart instead of working hard, I feel like all of that will help you. More than anything, though, I also feel like you don't need to put too much pressure on yourself to be perfect every day. You just need to allow yourself to do your best every time you do show up. And I think that you guys maybe are a bit harder on yourselves than is necessary. I feel like you guys probably, you might like leave work for the day, or leave, you might leave for the day and be like, man, people could probably tell that I was having a bad day. Like I probably wasn't as friendly or welcoming as I could have been. And I guarantee you, nobody will have any idea. I feel like the energy that you need is just one of continuous movement. And in fact, I feel like as well, one of the things you're being encouraged to do, especially if you have support, or if you have bosses or you know, people above you, start letting them know already that you have visions of, you know, other positions in a company or in the organization that you might be eyeing, if it's one you see yourself being in for longer. You know, maybe those positions could be great stepping stones. We'll look at that more in a bit, but I definitely think that your bosses knowing that you're already eyeing greater responsibilities, greater career tasks, like you're not going to seem overeager or crazy. If anything, your bosses are probably going to like that, because they're going to recognize that you're taking initiative. I also think that if you are self-employed or doing something that is more related to you, the best thing that you can do is just keep taking action and moving forward, even when you don't always feel like it, or even when you may be uncertain. Just keep going. That's really the biggest thing here, is like, as long as you keep putting one foot in front of the other and, you know, doing your best, leaving it all out there on the field, if you know what I mean. Obviously, by field, I mean the career field you're in or want to be in, you will get there. And I think that if the career field that you want to be in is one that you're not in yet, and you're wondering like, will you get there? Yes, absolutely. The only way that you will not is if you give up. Like Stephanie Meyer, her first book was Twilight. She got rejected by like 20 something publishers. Could you imagine us not having Twilight in the world, so many memes would be lost to time and fate. And fate couldn't have that, because fate said by the 20-something publisher, you know what, queen? You are getting your self-insert fan fiction out there and you are going to set the world on fire. And she did. And so that is a big reason why you don't give up. You do not give up, because you never know you never know where your yes will be, where your next step will be. And honestly, I think that determination and a willingness to keep pushing for what you want is really powerful, because most people hear no and they just kind of accept that as that's what it is. But realistically, you know, most successful people fail a lot. They get a lot of no's, they get a lot of rejections. And that's not to say you will. But the more you experience that, the more you realize it can't stop you. It's just redirecting you to where your yes is. You know, I love the phrase rejection is divine protection, because whenever, you know, something doesn't work out for you, it's always a sign that there's something better on the horizon. But also, I feel like just letting the people that are responsible for your career success, if there's anyone above you, know that you have visions of more, that you see yourself in higher positions, they're going to keep that in mind. They're going to pay attention to your work ethic, and they're also going to I feel like that is something that they will take note of. Any opportunities that you have to take the lead and be a leader in general, go for it. Don't let fear get in your way. And if you are reliant on yourself to be successful, the biggest thing here is to have visions of not only, I guess you can have visions of where you want to be, so long as they're motivating, but I think the best thing that you can do is have an understanding of what your best is, what you're capable of giving, and continuing to move forward. Even when you know your best may only be 20% one day, you still did more than if you had done nothing. Obviously, take healthy rest, but I think that no matter what, as long as you're trying and engaging with the field that you're interested in or the field that you're in, you're going to make progress and you're going to move forward. And I don't really think you need to worry too much about whether you will or you won't. You will. Listen. Wayne Gretzky that said it? You miss 100% of the shots you don't take. So get your hockey stick out, grab that puck, and keep shooting. Okay, so how can you deal with jealousy and or resentment that you might experience from rivals? And for that, we have the Fool. And I think that this is great. Literally, the best thing that you can do is not pay attention to it or act like it exists. Even if you notice it, even if you are aware of it, be blissfully ignorant of it, because none of it has to do with you. It all has to do with that person. And the reality is if you are someone who is more sensitive, someone who, you know, doesn't like making people feel that way, you better get used to it, because here's the reality. You will experience that whenever you experience any sort of success in career, whether it is peers or people outside, you will experience that. And if you're sensitive, which I am, it's best just not to pay attention or to even look at it or look for it, because it has nothing to do with you and everything to do with the person experiencing that emotion. And actually, you're helping those people. You're giving them an opportunity to recognize that there's something unseen or untapped within them that they have an opportunity to step into. You are serving as a source of inspiration, but how they're receiving it is, you know, maybe less desired because it's coming through in sort of a negative emotion way. But recognize that everyone has the freedom to act in ways that are aligned with them. Everyone has the freedom to handle their emotional experiences and emotional reactions differently. And I'm sure that you yourself have experienced things like jealousy and frustration. And when you have those emotions, they're always signaling to you a part of you that maybe is unseen or hasn't been tapped into enough, or a desire to emulate a similar experience. And I think that when you have that emotion, that's a sign that you have the opportunity to have that experience and your soul is calling you to it, and to step into a role where you're taking action to have that experience for yourself. So the more you can just be blissfully ignorant of it, the better, especially if you are someone who is more emotionally sensitive, because it's not your responsibility anyway. And I feel like you should just always take it as and when you're aware of it, just take it as, well, hopefully they see that as an opportunity to step their game up or to change or to grow. Maybe they'll learn something from you, or maybe you'll find that you guys work well together and that they can learn a lot from you. You never know. Some of those people you may end up, they may end up having a lot of respect and admiration for you, but really, keep the wool over your eyes and remain blissfully ignorant, because you're focused on your path. You don't have any rivals or competition. It's just you versus yourself. It's just you trying to be the best version of you that you can be, and recognize that you're not responsible for the emotional reactions of other people, and you don't need to dim yourself to make them feel better. So now, what advice does Spirit have in regards to networking and finding the resources and support that you need to help you succeed on your journey? Wow. Okay. So we have Revelation and Awakening. So we have it's the Judgment card that came through here. So there's a couple of different things. You may take certain professional development courses or courses online from people that have a wider net, that may have a social media following. You may start your own social media, or if what you're asking about is related, if your career success is related to social media, you might, your networking opportunities might come from reaching out to other people or taking courses or things of creators that you are interested in, and working with them, networking with them. They could get you in contact with people that could help you on your journey. Also, you could get in, you could make connections with people also taking those courses that then become very powerful collaborative partners. But also, I feel like this is also about putting yourself out there in general. If there are people you want to shadow, if there are people that you want advice from, I feel like more often than not, people are willing and open, even if they don't have a lot of time in their day, to answer questions or just be supportive in anyone that's interested in their field. So the best networking advice that I can give you is be loud and proud, and don't be afraid to cast a wide net in terms of networking opportunities. Even things that you wouldn't suspect to be a networking opportunity, they're always there. And I will say, especially if you're in a field, like if you're in like a corporate or business field, networking is a very powerful opportunity to advance in career, because it's not all about credentials and what you have on paper. Likability does come into it, unfortunately. And here's the thing, you yourself, I bet, is likable, but there's a skill to socializing. And like, one thing I will say is, like, I'm very grateful that I worked retail in college, because it taught me how to accept the discomfort that comes with surface level socializing, and realize that while it might be draining, you can improve that skill. And honestly, one of the easiest ways to improve it, here's my greatest tip for socializing with people that you don't know, people you don't know well, or anything like that. Ask people about themselves. You won't have to do any work after that. Just think of questions, listen, pay attention, and mirror it, and just engage in the conversation. That will make most people like you. And if you can, try to remember names. I once worked at a job where we had to remember names, and I never could. But I think in general, you might already be on a career journey where you're stepping into yourself more. And so I think as you develop more confidence in yourself and your just ability to connect with people, because connecting with people is a skill that anyone can learn. Even if you're neurodivergent, even if you have certain struggles, like, you can find ways around it. And you might have to deal with annoying stuff from people who don't get it, but isn't that all a lesson in patience? The really big thing here, though, is that I feel like the more you take on networking opportunities, I think you'll have networking opportunities that are more about being outside the office. Like, maybe that's going out to dinner with people in your group, or maybe that is meeting up with fellow entrepreneurs like you, if there's a meetup in your city, or, if you're going to like if you're going to like a flea market and selling your stuff there, you know, connecting with other people there and just saying and getting to know them. They might have ideas of shows or places that you can go that you haven't been aware of, or resources that can help you with your business, or tips that you haven't heard before. I feel like the best advice Spirit is giving you is to never underestimate the opportunity to learn something new or make a connection, because people can really be helpful. Word of mouth is obviously important. And if you're in school right now, letters of recommendation, those are important. Talk to your professors. Not many people go to their office hours. They want to talk about their chosen field. They've spent so much time studying it, right? I definitely think don't pass up on opportunities to engage with people outside of regular work hours, because those will be powerful opportunities to bond, and they're usually in environments that are more relaxed. And if you do imbibe in, you know, alcohol or things like that, if that is something you're comfortable with and it's legal and you're safe with it, that could be something that makes that process easier. I personally have never been able to do that, because even when I am under the influence, I still am painfully self-aware. But that's where the skill of learning how to socialize comes in, because you realize, oh, I just have to ask people about themselves, and people love talking about themselves. You can also read Dale Carnegie's How to Win Friends and Influence Others. I think that is a key point there. Not every connection has to be deep and meaningful. Sometimes connections are surface level, and that's okay. And surface level connections can be great, because what starts off as a brief connection ends up being, you know, the middleman between a much needed connection that can get your foot into a brand new world. I definitely think the more you just open yourself up to possibilities and opportunities to connect, you will find changes, revelations, and even understandings about yourself that you couldn't imagine. Where you might have once thought like, oh, I never want to go out with my coworkers after hours, like I can't wait to get away from them. You realize, oh, you know, some of these people are actually cooler than I realized. You know, when they're not on the clock, they're actually a lot more fun. It like makes me think of The Office, and like Stanley when he's at work versus Stanley when he's like in Florida, like Florida Stanley. You know, you might have a Stanley at your office that you think is just drab, but you haven't seen your office Stanley when he's driving a convertible in Florida. Might be a whole different vibe. You might even bond, who knows? So yeah, put yourself out there. Don't be afraid to cast a wide net, try new things, and yeah, take advantage of any and all opportunities, even if they're maybe not what you're drawn to. Because I think one thing you might find is that you actually might enjoy it more than you realized. And it might make coming to the office, if you do go to an office, more fun. And if you are someone who works independently or has a really small business, you might find that having that support and having people that are going through the same things as you can just be very healing. People that understand like the line of work that you're in and understand those challenges, it can be a great source of support, especially when you're usually dealing with everything on your own. But also don't be afraid to just like put yourself out there on the internet, obviously in safe ways, too, and to introduce yourself to other people and try your hand. You may not get responses from everyone, but at the very least, you're still, like I said, you're casting a wide net. Okay, so this was the question asking if you should change companies or relocate frequently for increasing success or increasing promotion. So I guess this is what would happen if you choose to shift a lot. And for that, we have the Two of Pentacles and the Four of Wands. So I do think that this option is going to be good for you if you find that, number one, the financial difference between shifts and changes isn't very much, but your happiness at one place versus another one is very different. I would definitely say go for it. I feel like it would be helpful for you to adapt and be in different places. It will just help you grow. It will help you cast a wider net. But definitely if you are in a place where things are very harmonious, like you get along with people, you're happy with where you're at, I wouldn't pressure yourself to move around a ton if you are happy with where you're at. But if you're not happy with where you're at, I would encourage you to once again kind of cast a wide net and see if you can find other opportunities. I know the job market isn't the easiest market right now. So what you need to do in those circumstances, I think, is going to be different for everyone. But one of the things that you may find yourself doing if you do follow a route of changing things up a lot is having maybe 2 part-time jobs, or one job that maybe doesn't pay as much as you'd like, and then a side hustle sort of thing going on until you land a job that is more harmonious and prosperous, to where you can kind of balance things out. But I will say, I do feel like there is some caution here about walking away from a good thing because you wonder if it could be even better. If you're generally happy, you like the people you work with, your contributions are being valued, you're being compensated fairly, and have enough to live and be harmonious, I would say, of course, don't wish away better opportunities. Like, you can always continue looking, but if you're always looking for greener grass, you might find that you give up a position that was actually much better than a position that you take on next. And you might find, oh wow, like that other workplace was a lot better for me, or this one was less toxic. Or if you are working for yourself or you're an independent contractor, I do think that you're being encouraged to kind of find 2 different things that can be helpful and supportive until your main thing is really taking off. So like, for example, maybe you're working part-time and working on your business. Maybe you're doing a couple of different things and needing to find balance. I would say only shift if it, number one, hasn't been too much to where it kind of looks like a red flag on a resume. When people are interviewing you, if you are applying for positions, like, it is possible that a lot of company changes could be seen as a red flag to the person interviewing you. They might be like, okay, well, is this person going to leave really quickly? I would say you have the right to leave a workplace if it is not compensating you fairly and it's making you miserable, as soon as you can, because that's going to harm your career performance in general. But if you're happy with where you're at, like if you have a harmonious environment around you, if you feel good about where you are, but the nagging pressure to be like, yeah, but what if there's something better? What if there's something more is what's propelling you? Maybe honor that feeling by reaching higher, putting out applications for even, stronger positions. I'd only be putting yourself out there in ways where you would be in an even better position than you were before. But even then, I feel like if you're in a harmonious place, if you're in a place where you're generally happy, that's a big place where you should be making it known, like, hey, I see myself in this higher position. Hey, I see myself, here within this company. What do I need to do in order to get there? And don't be afraid to like ask your bosses and stuff like that if you do have bosses. I do think for all of you, there is a workplace or a work situation, especially if you work on your own, that is the most harmonious. And there will be times, of course, in any job where you're not always happy, or where you're a little burnt out, or you're frustrated, or things aren't working the way you want them to. But if you're generally good and happy and satisfied with your career, and if you have comparison to other jobs that you've had that have been much worse, especially in that field, I would take that as, like, something that maybe you shouldn't throw everything away for just because there are minor setbacks. I would pay attention to, are you going to be able to thrive here? Is your work valued? Do you feel valued? Do you feel good here? If you are completely miserable, I would definitely say, yeah, change, find different jobs, do what you can, change things up. But if you're wondering in terms of timing, there's an interesting timing thing here where, like, if you're trying to figure out if a place is going to be a good fit, give it 4 months. And if you're trying to figure out if you should move on to another job, but you're generally happy where you are, if you haven't gotten more or what you've wanted within 2 years, then I would say, yeah. Like, I feel like this 2 of Pentacles is talking about 2 years. If you're not being rewarded and valued and you're stuck in the same position and you don't see movement forward, even if you're happy, I think that would be the time to be like really putting yourself out there. But also, there's no shame and harm in, just continuing to put your resume out there, applying for things, or trying new things if you're working for yourself. More than anything though, I definitely think that this is encouraging you to change and switch if you're not prosperous and where you're at is making you miserable. That is definitely a sign to change. And I think that you're actually being encouraged to have an abundant mentality where it's like, there's a job out there for me where I not only have my needs met, my financial needs met, but like, you know, my environmental needs met. And I'm being given enough to save for my future or propel me further. Or there's a solution or a work routine that is going to not only make me prosperous, but also, you know, allow me to pursue other goals as well. I definitely think if you're working for yourself, there is encouragement to try a lot of different things and to not pigeonhole yourself into one thing. Obviously, invest more time and energy in the things that bring you financial stability that you know work, but also don't be afraid to experiment and explore, because you never know what could turn into a new opportunity or a new endeavor for you. And if you are in a workplace, feel it out, obviously, but I would even like look up like workplace red flags when you're interviewing places. Don't just say yes to something. I mean, if you have to say yes to something like for survival needs, obviously do that while you can, but keep looking. But if you're in a position where you don't necessarily have to say yes to something immediately and you notice red flags, don't be afraid to say no to that. Maybe even bend the truth a little bit when you are somewhere else and say, you know, there is this other company that wants me. You know, sell yourself a little bit. But let's look at whether or not you should work your way up in a current organization or put your singular focus into one thing. And for that, we have the World, achievement and fulfillment. So I definitely think that for all of you, there is encouragement of once you find a place where you're happy and you're satisfied and you see potential for upward fulfillment, stay there. The World is all about fixed energies, and literally it says achievement and fulfillment. So I feel like there's a lot of potential for upward growth. And I do think it could take time, but I also think that you could relocate to a different branch, or you could do lots of different things within the company that could not only be fulfilling but empowering. If you are focused on one single endeavor, you could find a lot of fulfillment and not giving up on it, and you could find that your influence or your ability, your business or your company has, you know, worldwide recognition or is reaching people at a global level. I definitely think for all of you, you should stick with what is working, even if it isn't perfect. The only time I think you should jump from job to job is if you're happy, but you're not getting enough financially, like in order to support yourself, have money to save, be kind of investing in building your future. I would definitely say talk to that company about a raise or more. Say that you don't want to leave, you want to be here, but you need a different compensation. You need more. And if they're unwilling to give that, I would definitely say look elsewhere. You shouldn't have to compromise happiness at work versus healthy compensation. Your idea should be that you can have both, because the only way you can't is if you settle for something that you can. It might take more time, it might take more trial and error, it might take more unknowns, but if that's really what you want, don't settle for something less. Obviously, no job is perfect, but I definitely think for all of you, it might take some time for some of you to find that right fit for you. But once you do, I think you will see a lot of positive momentum and a lot of opportunities for further growth. And also, you will know when you've reached the limit of how far you can grow within a company. So with this World card being here, I think that especially if you're within a company, there is a certain level of growth you will be able to reach before it's like, oh, like I'm not going to get this position because this person's been in there for decades and they're super healthy and I don't think they're going to leave that anytime soon. Or, oh, like this is as far as I can really go with my position, but I should stay here and long enough so that I can shoot for something else or do something different. Basically, I think you are being encouraged to be loyal to a specific place or a specific endeavor, so long as you are in a position where you're generally happy, getting what you need, and you know there is room for growth or expansion. You will know when you've reached that limit, and if you're satisfied and happy there, I don't think you have to push for more. If it's time to push for more, you'll know when that time is. But I think that reaching this threshold will be a powerful accomplishment and just a signifier of your hard work and the dedication it took to get there. And I think that you will probably find yourself in this position or in this career for quite a while, or this level of your career for quite a while, and you will find a lot of fulfillment within it, and it will be all because of your hard work and the changes that you made to put yourself out there, to do things differently, to network, to do your best, to keep moving forward, to stay focused on your own goals, to stay focused on the bright side of things, to stay focused on having ideal outcomes that are supportive for you. You're gonna get there. And I think that there's one message here about not compromising your vision. If within a certain company, there's only so far you can go, and your vision is something greater than that. If you're happy there and you're being compensated well, maybe go until you know that you can't go further. And the goodwill and the hard work that you've done is probably going to be something supportive for your next endeavor, at a higher position in a different place. And ultimately, though, you're being called to stay to eventually find a place where you can take root, where you're generally happy, you see upward momentum, and you know that that steady growth is there, and that the outcomes, the visions you see for your future are aligned with that company, that career, that personal endeavor, and just know that you will get there. Like, as long as your eyes are on the prize, you're going to receive it. So finally, what good luck factor will aid you in these endeavors? If I can lift up the card. We have the King of Wands. Oh, wait, no, I think, is this actually, okay, I think this is the Knight of Wands. Enthusiastic and adventurous. So I feel like putting yourself out there, a lot of the things we've already talked about, being bold. I'm going to make sure. I think that is the Knight and not the King. In another deck, the Spirit is the King. But while I'm reading, I'm going to look to make sure. One of the best things that you can do is put yourself out there. Your good luck energy is having the courage to try, to not take your first no as a sign that something isn't for you. Yeah, kings are kings in this deck. So this is the Knight, I think. Wait, let me make sure. Because I think the Queen is like sovereign, maybe. Your good luck. Yeah, queens are queens. So your good luck comes from taking action. Any traveling opportunities, I think, could be quite significant. If you are in a company or in a position where you can travel for your job, that will not only lead to networking opportunities, but it will also keep your job exciting. It will allow you to, just see more of the world, which I think will be fun. But also, I think that the more you're willing to try new things, take on responsibilities that maybe you wouldn't have said yes to, or try a certain role that maybe you didn't think you would like, and see where things go. The more enthusiastic you are, the more you believe in yourself. And like, I know it sounds kind of lame, but it is true. Like, the more you focus on having a good attitude, the more you're willing to try new things, put yourself out there, go the distance, the more you're going to find results in return. The more you try new things, are willing to take risks, are willing to be open to no's, that's where you're going to find doorways to new paths. You're going to find those yeses. But I do want to quickly see what the Knight of Wands says for career in this How to Read Tarot, a Modern Guide book, just because like there might be guidance in there that I'm missing that might be supportive or helpful. As you can see, this book has gotten a lot of love. And it is by Jessica Wiggin, if you're comfortable, if you were wondering. I am passionate and ready to make bold changes in career and work-related readings The Knight of Wands is passion ignited. He is fast moving, so he brings a message of change, adventure, and challenges you are excited to take on. In your work, you may be called to meet people from different cultures and backgrounds. You are thrilled by this because you learn so much by seeing different perspectives and being exposed to different walks of life. The risks you are taking now are exciting, and you can quickly see the reward. You are in a phase of your life where you are ready to get into the thick of things and prove yourself, and that is what others are calling you to do. So the more you can step up, the better. And also, I will say as well, if you are being called to a career that may be riskier, or that you may be uncertain if there's a better outcome, obviously do what you can to protect and support yourself. But for some of you, I feel like you might be eyeing a certain career because it might bring more financial abundance, but it might be a sort of career that you end up being absolutely miserable in, and that's what we call golden handcuffs. So you don't really want to be in golden handcuffs. The Knight of Wands is allergic to golden handcuffs. The Knight of Wands is adventurous and free, and you never know how job opportunities could land in your lap. So especially if you are someone that seeks adventure or wants a job where you can do different things, or any opportunities you have to step up, to prove yourself, to take on challenges, go for it, because you're always going to find that you are rewarded. And this is also, like I said, boldness about speaking up for yourself, putting yourself out there, trying different things, having different experiences. Any passion you have, like maintaining just passion in general for what you do, or just your vision for your journey where you see yourself in your life, not only is that infectious, but also it will be a momentum that carries you when things do get challenging, when things do get hard. And obviously that can be hard to maintain. Even in a job you love, it can be hard to maintain that passion. And so when you find yourself not having that, give yourself permission to explore and be adventurous and be curious within reason, in ways that, maybe have nothing to do with your career, because you never know how you could tie it in later or how it could prove valuable. Maybe you meet someone that you weren't anticipating meeting that, is a powerful connect, when really you were just traveling for leisure, and you really end up hitting it off with them, and they're like, oh, you know what, I'm needing someone for this company. Like, you just never know. I think more than anything, the more you believe in yourself, the more you will see, and by believing in yourself and having that courage, going for what you want, even if it scares you, even if you're uncertain, even if you don't know what the outcome will be, it will always be more worth it than staying passive, than asking what if, and living your life from a place of uncertainty and fear of rejection. The Knight of Wands laughs at rejection because he's going on his horse so fast, he doesn't even take time to dwell. He's just moving forward onto what pathway will open up for him. And that allows him to move forward quite quickly and to be successful quite quickly. And I think for a lot of you, the more effort you put in, the more you will get out. So I hope that resonated. Will you be successful? Yes. The only way you won't be successful is if you don't try. And if you stay small, stay hidden, and never change, never grow. And remain stubborn and unwilling to move. And I know that's not y'all. And even if it is y'all, you can change that. And I know you will. Because you will realize how good it feels to grow and expand beyond what you knew about yourself. I think you will find it quite liberating. But we're going to finish your reading off by getting a guidance card from the Sacred Rebels deck. So let's just go ahead and see. Spirit, what guidance do you want to leave group number 4 with? What do they need to know for their highest good? Please. Listening for truth. So, oh my gosh. Okay, yeah, my desk is a bit chaotic. I'm kind of glad you can't see the rest of it. So for that, we have number 36. So the number 36 could be significant as well. Truth speaks to us constantly, but not always in words. It may communicate through a feeling that is hard to put into words, but brings an inexplicable sense of peace, trust, and the knowledge that somehow everything is going to work out perfectly, even if there is little evidence of how it is all going to work out, how it's all going to happen. You're being asked to listen to the truths beneath words rather than the superficial message of the words themselves. This is especially true for the communications around you, the press, the newspapers, and the mass media. So like an example for this is, like what I was saying earlier, I've seen stuff that like the job market, like the traditional job market is really hard right now. Maybe it is. I don't know. I'm not in it right now. But I think the belief that it's hard is probably going to make applying to jobs more overwhelming and it would make me less optimistic about my chances. Go bold, apply for things that you feel like you have no shot in getting, cast a wide net. And also maybe part of what would be helpful is just saying, all I need to find is one. And I know I can find that answer. I know I can find that solution. Like, I know I can do it. Belief in yourself, I think, is powerful. You will begin to hear fear in the words and actions of those around you, even as they preach love. Listen deeper, listen for the truth. This oracle comes with a message of truth for you. You are hearing something that is not being said, and what you are hearing is truthful. You may feel as though you are the only one really ready to hear or see it. Perhaps you've been working in a situation or loving in a relationship where truth is consistently denied. We live in a world where truth is frequently avoided out of fear of what it might reveal. At the basis of such actions, consciously or not, is a deep sense of unhealed, toxic shame. If you or someone else is fearful that truth will expose rather than free and heal, then some personal healing is required. It is time for letting go of old wounds in favor of a greater sense of self-love and acceptance. You are being asked to love yourself enough to honor the truth, even if you feel you are the only one doing so. Sacred rebels need truth like lungs need oxygen. Truth keeps the energy of life flowing through the rebellious heart. Lies dampen the spirit of the sacred rebel. Even if those with less awakened hearts fear the truth, you must not turn away from it. Don't resent this state of affairs. Perhaps your job is to show the truth can be witnessed even when many may want to hide from it. What others do is always your choice, but through your honorable deeds, done with integrity, you will be set free no matter what the outcome. You are a truth seeker. Never deny or try to quiet this down to make others comfortable. You are meant to be an agitator at times, even though you don't have to confront people to do it. You don't necessarily have to say a word, though sometimes you will. Often you will agitate in the most loving sense by unveiling truth simply through your knowings. Hold compassion for the truths you behold. Do not use them as knives to cut another or yourself with harshness, but as clear insight that allows one to loosen the knots that bind simply by knowing which threads gently tug. This oracle brings you guidance. If you've been worn down and depressed by the lies, gossip, deceit, or backstabbing going on around you, don't fret. Get out in nature and spend some time communing with the infinite. Healing will come to you now. No matter how many times, in how many ways, or by how many tongues untruth is spoken, you know in your sacred rebellious heart. You know what you know in your sacred rebellious heart. That truth is your connection to the living truth of life itself. Don't give up. Just open up to healing and know that the truth always eventually prevails. And there's a little healing process that you can go ahead and do if you just decide to. But while I'm holding this up, pile number 4, that is where I'm going to leave this reading. So thank you guys so much for watching. And thank you so much for letting my ads play in the background, because that is what allows me to do these readings for free for you guys. And still, be able to like support myself in the society we live in. So thank you to everyone who does that. Other ways to support me if you enjoyed this reading: liking this video, commenting down below, letting me know how it resonates if you haven't already. You can subscribe if you haven't already. Be sure to click that little notification bell to be notified whenever I upload a new reading. You can check out my merch, my social media, my candles, other videos, ones with extendeds as well. But that is all I have for you guys. I really hope that this message resonated and was helpful for you. I wish you all the best of luck. I know all of you will succeed beyond your wildest dreams. Wherever you end up, those places and those people are lucky to have you. I hope you all have a wonderful day or night whenever it is that you're watching this video. I love you guys so much. I am wishing you the best, and I hope you will all come back and see me again soon. Bye!